And we are live on episode 57 of the Redman Group. I'm your not-so-humble correspondent, Donovan Sharp. We are presented in part by the 21 Convention Patriarch Edition, an event for fathers by fathers. The event starts on May 3rd and ends on May 5th, and will be the first of 3 events this year. Tickets are available right now at the21convention.org. Again, that is the21convention.org. You can also get on the VIP list for the 21 Convention in Poland, which will be held this summer. Getting on that VIP list puts you first in line for the early bird ticket. So be sure to get over to the21convention.org for details. We've got a great show for you guys today, but before we get started, let's go ahead and introduce our esteemed panel for today's episode. Our right winger and power play specialist is former Married Red Pill moderator and founder of 4R Consulting, Ryan Stone. @Ryan_Stone is where he can be found on Twitter. You can also search the same thing and find him on Facebook and Instagram. His YouTube channel teaches you how to keep your belly full and your balls empty, so you certainly want to subscribe to that. RyanStone.com is where you can find his exclusive content and book one-on-one consultations. And if you want to support him even further, make sure you check out his Patreon page @_Ryan_Stone. @Defenseman is our enforcer, which of course is a fancy way of saying goon. Steve, the Dean Williams, @TheManMindset is where he can be found on Twitter. If you want to add him on Facebook, search Steve Williams. His website is themanmindset.com, where you will find dating videos, dating tips, merchandise, and of course, one-on-one coaching. Steve makes regular appearances on TSR Live as well as the Redman Group and the Redman Group After Party. He hosts a weekly dating show every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern on Facebook Live. Our right winger is international man of mystery and Tinderella slut slayer, Carl Black Label Logic. Carl can be found on Twitter @Black Label Logic, as well as his website, blacklabellogic.com. Our starting center and goal scorer extraordinaire, who is live from his brand new studio, is none other than Godfather himself, Rollo Tomasi. He is the author of the revolutionary book series, The Rational Male. Follow him on Twitter @Rational Male. You can also catch him here on the Redman Group, on his YouTube channel, and on the Pat Campbell Show every Friday morning at 9:05 Eastern on Talk Radio 1170 in Tulsa. I will be between the pipes today at Goaltender. You guys can find my content on donovansharp.com, YouTube, and Patreon. I'm on the air Monday through Thursday afternoons at 5 and 5:30 Eastern. You can also access my content through the Donovan Sharp mobile app, which can be downloaded on donovansharp.com or on Patreon. Guys, it's good to have you in this morning. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Good. So, Rollo, you had quite the week. What with moving into your new studio and whatnot. Give us an update on what's been going on. Tell us about your new studio.
Oh, geez. So I decided that it was time to sort of move out of my old situation and move into a new situation. I have a studio that is set up, actually, in every house I've ever owned. I've always had a studio. If we move into a new place, or if I buy a new place, there's always got to be a dedicated space for me to do my work, whether that's writing, that's art, that's this kind of stuff, no matter what. But the place that I'm in right now here in Nevada is really small, and it's just enough for like the stuff that I do professionally. And I just started cramming all this video stuff in here, and this mic set up, and then I just thought, you know what, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it right. You know, it's like if you treat it like a hobby, it pays you like a hobby. You treat it like a job, it pays you like a job. That kind of mentality. Right back when I turned 50 last year. I kind of rearranged. I had some insight, right? I kind of rearranged my priorities a little bit more, and I backed off my liquor brands a little bit so that I could do this a little bit more, so I could dedicate more time to writing, so I could dedicate more time to doing this kind of thing, to doing counseling. If guys want to, talk to me or whatever, that's fine. Just to see how it goes. I'm not out of my old gig. I'm just like kind of backed up off of it because I'm in a position finally in my life where I can do that. And so I started looking at all this crap that was in my studio at home, and I go, you know what? I really need a dedicated space for this. And so I decided to start looking for studio space, and I found some. And it was pretty reasonable here in my secret bunker in northern Nevada. And so I found a great place in Midtown where I'm at, and the price was right. And I spent the last week and a half really building this place up. I was before we came on, I was panning the camera around for Steve to have a look at this place, and it's nice. I got a nice shelf over here, and I got some space. I'm going to really set this up so it's kind of a sound stage kind of thing, so that I can do this like for real real, similar to what you've got going on there. And I thought, well, you know what, it's better to actually, you know, have something that's looks a little more professional. I'm going to redo the background here a little bit. Obviously, I got the tropical theme going here. No, I'm not in Florida right now. I'm actually in Nevada, and it's snowing outside. I posted a picture on Twitter this morning. It's actually a gorgeous day today. As soon as I am done here, I'm probably going to go get the sled and take it out to Blue Lake. So anyways, great situation. What this means is that I'm going to be probably doing more video. So that's going to be Redman Group. That's going to be my own channel. That's going to be Religion and Red Pill. Yes, I actually will pick that up. That's one of the reasons I've been kind of dragging my feet on some of the stuff that I've been doing, is because I've been moving in here. I have a brand new top of the line iMac that I'm staring at right now. And so I actually put some money into this because I want to see this grow, and I want to do something with this. Right. So just up my game. And the other thing that's great is, like, it's nice and quiet in here. So it's a place that I can write. So, and that's what I'll do.
No greyhounds.
I don't have, well, you know, what's funny is I've got a perfect spot right over here for a dog bed. So I might bring my dog. I might have a shop dog, you know, that comes in here. So that's what I've been doing for this week. I apologize for not putting up a blog post, but I have been really busy moving in here. But the first one that I write will be this weekend from this secret bunker.
Very good.
Counterflow Studios. That's what it is.
Solid. I like it. Ryan, how's your week been?
Week's been awesome. All right. So first thing is, got a new show going. Started with Carl. It's as of yet unnamed. So we're taking, so far, I think what was the one I like was Misogynetics. But I think what was his, the beer happy hour or something like that. Anyways, leave some tweets or leave some comments in the video here with titles here. If we get one, we'll roll with it. And it just ties into a lot of these guys talking all trad and you need to find Jesus. Carl and I decided to double down on that and just talk game. We're back. We're getting back to the roots of where it started with, like, pickup and all that stuff. And on the same thread of Rolo deciding to treat this like a business and that, I'm starting to add the product placement. So there's the soap and Ground Shark coffee. Tactical soap was a lot of fun. Ground Shark coffee, a lot of fun. Bruno's got me onto pipe smoking, also fun. I figure at this point, these guys are willing to take a chance on probably the most toxic group of guys when it comes to advertising space. So the least I can do is give them some love. Plus the coffee's pretty good. And then aside from that, if you guys don't know, Rolo is able to get blog posts out weekly. I don't have nearly that kind of release schedule, because for every post I actually put out, there's like 10 in like a draft state. So one thing I'm loving with the Patreon guys is I can throw out a first draft, and they're getting a lot of extra content there. Just did a new video out for YouTube. We're on a solid weekly schedule, and I am 2,000 minutes away from monetization right now. So go ahead, hit on those videos, smash the like button, especially on the new one. The popular one so far is about cheating hoes and poached eggs. So that's good there. Consulting is going well. Picked up another client now. I'm hoping that this other guy, we can drop an older one soon enough, that he's got his stuff on lock now, but we'll see what happens. So I'll probably be opening consulting again shortly to have some new guys come in if you guys want to have some one-on-one talks with your male action plans. And I guess beyond that, I could rant forever, but that's the big stuff. So I'll pass it off to who's next.
Carl.
Oh, crap. I thought Steve was supposed to go before me, but fair enough.
Oh, yeah, my bad. I'm out of order. Yeah, go ahead, Carl. Then we'll go to Steve. My bad, Steve.
Yeah, so I haven't been under much of a workload in this side of my life lately, because I just moved, as you all know. I just changed my jobs, etc. So that was a bit of a lot of work related to that and everything. I mean, moving is a pain in the ass. I mean, like I told Donovan earlier, that, you know, moving into a new place is like training a new chick. It just takes time and some dedicated effort, and you just have to kind of go with it and, you know, fill in stuff as you need it. I'm also looking at restarting my Tinder pipeline, because moving just means that there's a lot of matches that didn't get the pleasure of my dick back where I moved away from. So I'm just going to have to transfer that level of service over to new clients.
Good stuff. I like how you call it clients, right?
Well, you know, there's a certain service level agreement in place here.
I love this guy. All right, Steve. What happened? What happened with Steve?
And
oh, my bad, Carl. Go ahead, dude. My bad.
Yeah, and I also did some work because, as anyone with a fairly large Twitter profile knows, you get a lot of wrong follows. And that's just people who like a joke or something specifically you said that went viral and they follow you and then they start talking trash to you in your mentions. So I did a Christian spring cleaning, so I just tweeted a bunch of anti-Christian shit to get them the fuck out of my mentions because I'm getting very tired of hearing you need Jesus, go find a quality woman, start a family, get a mortgage, get a steady job, and stop ruining quality women with your dick. So
that's my bread and butter, man.
So I actually made a bit of an effort of getting them out of my mentions just because I'm getting tired of being told I'll burn in hell. If I want to be told that I'm going to burn in hell, I'll go to Christmas dinner with my fucking family.
There you go. Right. I hate those guys, man.
Now Steve can go.
Thank you, brother. All right. Well, not too much has been going on here in the man mindset. Just a few things. One thing I've decided on doing is for the, because Steve loved the kids. I ain't the Paul, but I love the kids. So what I decided on doing is working on something to give discounts to college kids on my products and stuff like that. So I'm working on something like that where I have to get transcripts or something. I haven't figured out how I'm gonna do it, but if you're a college kid and you want to get products and you can't afford it because of college life, I'm working on giving them discounts. Also, I'm working on conversation class Ground Zero. That is kind of my mistake. I figured most guys out there knew how to do some of the basics when it came to talking to women, but I see that they don't. So kind of going to go backwards, and I've been working on that. And because of that, I've kind of cut off my late night show, Donovan, at 7 o'clock. So no, it's all right because I still got my 2 in the morning. So I do.
Okay,
one
all right.
I got my Rosebud one and one with Lucario in the morning. So I kind of do those. Also, to let y'all guys know, I'll be taking this painting down. I just got my painter to work on my Roman one. I got a Roman one with me, with Roman garb with with 4 women, 4 ladies. One of them is washing my feet. The other one is washing my hand, and the other one's giving me a back rub. So I'm kind of working on that one. I got
add one with a fern fanning you, and then another one feeding you grapes.
Well, I got to see. Yeah, well, I already got the guy to do it, but that's a good idea. I need to get one fanning in. But other than that, I just want to say, in the meantime, I'm just going to do a bunch of hit and run shows, like in the evening time or maybe at nighttime, talking about relationships, sex, and picking up women. So that's about
Good stuff. Excellent. Well, as usual, another great week of shows for me. The two that stood out the most were my men should never believe what females tell them, even if she's not lying. And obviously there are a lot of factors involved, but the biggest factor is that women are never chemically identical from one day to the next. I talked about the fact that aside from their female brains being all over the map emotionally, because that's just how they're made, I also highlighted the fact that their menstrual cycle also dictates in large part their thoughts, their actions, their feelings. And as a result, the way they feel about something they say or something they do or something they think on, let's say, day 3 of their cycle will almost never be the exact same as they feel about it on day 20. So you guys definitely want to go and check that out. The second episode I wanted to highlight was that men who cling to the myth of unconditional love are weak and lazy. I talked about the fact that unconditional love is reserved for women, children, and animals only because they need it. Men do not need unconditional love because we are equipped to thrive without it. I discussed the fact that if women really loved men unconditionally, that most men would become soft, fat, lazy, and unmotivated. So be sure to check out those 2 episodes along with the others this week, including the one I did with Steve the Dean on the epidemic of mama's boys. All right, let's go ahead and get to it right here, guys. Today's topics are living the red pill life with regards to the most challenging aspects of it and red pill awareness in the workplace, more specifically corporate America. We're going to start with the most challenging aspects of living the red pill life. My 21 convention speech was about this particular topic, and the reason I decided to talk about that is because most men who find the red pill, they get very excited about the prospect of living a more fruitful and productive life on their own terms, grabbing life by the horns, etc. They feel like they've sort of gotten a new lease on life, and then they start working towards the goals that they've set for themselves. At least this is how I felt. But at some point, most men get kind of a rude awakening in that, this is after they find the red pill, in that they discover that not only is living the red pill life not all peaches and cream and sunshine and rainbows, it is actually quite difficult to maintain. And unfortunately, a lot of men drop out on some level. Some men sort of scale back their efforts. Some men try to go back to living the blue pill life, and some men even get even more disenfranchised and go back to the anger phase. Ryan, I'd like to start with you on this one because you're one of the few men who were not red pilled by a woman. So your path was a little bit different from most men who find themselves here. That said, what are some of the things about living this life that are a little bit more difficult, a little bit more challenging than you maybe even realized? And why do you think that a lot of men drop out when they realize that there is a residual cost of living the red pill life?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't frame it that way, and I don't say more difficult. It is like it used to be. I'm really trying to get this articulated well, but consider before. So when I was in the military, there was a lot of go along to get along, a lot of learned helplessness. It is what it is. And it was a very risk averse attitude towards things. Do the safe choice, do this, do that, do the other thing, because you were worried about consequences. But then post pill, it really amped my don't give a fuck to 100. And so it actually didn't make it more difficult. Like it looks more difficult from the outside, but from the inside, it actually makes it easier, if that makes sense. So for example, coming out in 2017 and actually putting my face attached to what is essentially the worst PR move a man can make, coming out and saying you're red pill, back when Roosh was getting vilified, Robert Fisher and all that stuff. To a lot of guys, that's like cancer. Like, oh, I can't do that. That's a huge risk. But for me, I just kind of like, you know what? Fuck it. It'll be a lot of fun. So I wouldn't say difficult, but I would say it just, what's that line from Fight Club? They take it and it just turns down the volume on the rest of life. Is that an answer that's sufficient? I don't know. Johnny, did that answer make sense?
Yeah, it does, but it does because the reason I came to you first is because you always have sort of a different vernacular when it comes to this stuff. Like one man's difficult is another man's sort of challenge. And it I don't know, like and I don't want to hijack what you were saying here, but for me there are a lot of things that were very difficult, at least in the onset.
Like
it's
what?
almost Well, oh my God, dude. And I talked about this on my 21 convention speech, dude, the isolation, the just having the knowledge that you have, knowing that you can't really talk about the red pill to your friends or family because you're going to get a bunch of shit about it, dealing with women. Like when you deal with a woman and you have red pill awareness, you already know that there's a better than average chance that at some point this relationship is going to end, and it's probably going to end pretty messily. So those are things that were difficult.
It does take the fun away from stuff like that.
It does.
It's almost like, yeah, you can see the code. Which,
yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, what are your thoughts, man? Because again, the reason I'm coming to Steve next is because it doesn't appear that you have a hard time living the red pill life. You seem almost invulnerable to this kind of thing. But if you can kind of let us behind the curtain, as it were, what are some of the things that you find a little bit more challenging actually not being afraid to be a man?
Well, the thing is, I just want to say, my fucking thing. Sorry. The thing is that being a man, y'all, people have to understand is that it is it's a lonely life, but it's not a bad thing. And I want people to get scared about that because they're going to start to realize that being a man is a journey that you're taking on your own. And as a man, you lose friends, you lose family members, because as far as family members, they won't be able to control you. Mom won't be able to tell you what to do. And you're not going to be intimidated by your brothers or sisters, cousins or nephews trying to fit in their narrative, because you are your own narrative. Your friends, on the other hand, you're going to lose a lot of friends because your friends are going to be jealous of you, because you are fitting out more than fitting in. You're going to lose friendships because they hate, and I'm not playing around, but they hate how their women, their girlfriends, their live-ins, and their wives gravitate towards you when you go places. So what happens with that is you don't get invited to parties anymore. You don't get invited to get-togethers or gatherings because they know when you walk into that room that you stand apart. And another thing you're going to get is this thing called a reputation, whether it is at work or whether it is in the groups that you're in, that, stay away from that guy because you can't have your woman around him because you'll lose your woman, blah, blah, blah. Some of the other biggest problems real quick is Christmas, Valentine's Day, your birthdays. You'll have women that want to spend time with you They're going to want to see you. They're going to want you to meet their family. They're going to do everything they can to get any and all your time. And last but not least, you've got to deal with women that try to get pregnant by you. You're going to have women that want to marry you. You're going to have women that want to leave their relationships with other people for you. So what y'all have to understand is it's not a bad thing to be alone. But when I tell you guys, sometimes locking your door, turning out your lights, turning off your phone, getting a bag of vegetables and putting it under your nuts and watching TV is the best relaxing time. I'm telling you, because it's like a second job, because a lot of people have to understand you're managing a roster. I mean, when you really get into this, you're going to have a roster.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, we're good. We're back.
Yeah,
now.
we got a super chat question here from Daniel Briggs. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. He says, Rollo, how does birth control? Damn it, give me a second.
Yeah,
Says,
your video's out, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It's
okay, now you're back. Okay.
Right. Yeah, some idiot tried to call me and my phone keeps connecting to my computer. Anyway, it says, Rollo, how does birth control affect a woman's hypergamy? I thought it made them lean towards beta bucks, but in my IRL experience doesn't agree. What are your thoughts on that?
No, it has nothing to do with hypergamy. Happens no matter what. Okay, I mean that's what hypergamy is. Women's sexual strategy. What does happen though, and I get this question quite a bit, is how does this affect ovulatory shift? And that's the real question is because hypergamy is based on women's menstrual cycle and just the way that they're built, right? Okay, so when you start messing with things like that, when you start tricking the female body into thinking that it is always pregnant, which is really what HBC does, hormonal birth control does. It does. I'm not going to say it doesn't impact women's, I guess, sexual strategy or sexual modality. I guess would be a more specific term. But if you want to know more about this, go read a book called it's called Hormonal by Dr. Marty Hasselton. She goes into it really into a lot of detail about HBC and how it affects ovulatory shift. But the short answer to this is that it doesn't stop hypergamy. It doesn't stop ovulatory shift. It just like buffers it or pushes it down. It's less pronounced, as if instead, like, what's funny is that if you really want to see the experiment for this, is if your girlfriend or your wife or whatever is always on hormonal birth control and then she goes off of it so you guys can have a kid, that will give that guys don't pay attention to that. They go, she's just being crazy, she's just hormonal. No, it's because she's off of that this medicine that she's been taking probably since she was a teenager, and now she goes back to her natural cycle. And then you get to see the real, the reality of how hormones influence women. But go read Hormonal by Dr. Marty Hasselton. There's a whole chapter dedicated to that.
Excellent. Good answer. Again, thank you for that $4.99 super chat. Carl, what are your thoughts on the quote unquote red pill difficulties? What sort of challenges do you face living the life that you live?
Well, I wanted to get into the thinking doing gap. It's a great book from a few years back that a lot of guys are able to think things, but they're not able to execute them. And the most difficult thing for me is more or less the workload and consistency required. Because I was talking with Ryan about this, that, when you're like me and you're out there chasing new pussy every night, then you're basically Kevin from sales. But when you're like Ryan and I was about to say stuck with the same pussy every night, you're basically a account manager.
Oh.
Then you're basically a key account manager. In the first one, you have to constantly chase new leads, new closes, new contracts. In the second one, you're more or less just managing a client and making sure that client doesn't get too pissed off at you, or that you let your service levels slip to a point where they're like, okay, we need to get a new supplier. And I think that's the most difficult thing, keeping up with everything you have to do to actually embody the lifestyle. I mean, the workouts, the diets, the grooming, the dressing, be constantly being on point with your mindset. I mean, it's a
Right.
heavy workload, and that's probably why most guys would rather go back to the blue pill life, because it's much easier to just sit there and eat a steak that you don't know that it's a fake steak, and it's just the matrix telling you that it's tasty and nice and good.
And here's the funny thing. I actually used the science analogy for this while he was telling the stories. I was saying it's the difference between the amplitude of a wave and the wavelength of a wave, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. That's actually a very good point. A couple of super chats here quickly. Freelance Runner with the $5 super chat says a drop for the tip bucket. Take your red pills daily, overdose often. Peter Croizen with €2 says, Rollo, you're in the bathroom. It does kind of look like you're in the bathroom with that with the palm trees around the middle.
Does it sound like I'm in the bathroom?
No, it doesn't sound like you're in the bathroom. So that's very good.
I don't want that echo. I'm
that's
actually
hard.
going to put some RLX up. Well, some soundproofing.
There is
up
no
with this
echo.
thing.
So
Okay.
that's very good. You have a very good mic. Nicholas Parkinson
As long as
with
it
the
doesn't
dollar.
sound like it.
No, listen. You could be in the bathroom for all we know. You might be sitting on a toilet, but as long as it doesn't sound like it, I think we're good with that. Nicholas Parkinson with the $1.99 super chat asks, if monogamy isn't natural, why even do a long-term relationship or marriage? I've got a quick answer to this. Monogamy isn't natural for men. It is natural for women. And the reason for this, again, this is biological, right? Sperm is cheap, eggs are expensive. This is why men have the biological desire to spread as much seed as humanly possible. We can reproduce until the day we die. Women, on the other hand, have very few eggs. They have a finite number of eggs and a finite number of years that they can reproduce. Well, when they reproduce, they're only looking for the one father. So, and this is why 25% of women are on some sort of antidepressant, because they're not monogamous. But then they wonder, what's wrong with me? Well, what's wrong with you is you had promiscuous sex, a lot of promiscuous sex with a lot of guys, and that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Well, that's what it says on TV, and everybody's doing it, yes, but when they're 35 and alone, that's when the reality starts to set in, and they don't quite figure out why it is that they're depressed. The reason they're depressed is because you're not supposed to be doing this. So monogamy is natural for women. It is not natural for men. You guys have any other answers?
I would say that monogamy is only a cooperative sexual strategy for men and women who want to have children. That's it. A monogamous relationship between a man and a woman with the express purpose of raising kids, that I could see, because from an evolutionary standpoint, it's better to have two parents. Okay.
Yes.
Your survival rates go up, astronomically if there's two invested parents in that one kid or two kids or however many kids you're going to have, simply because remember, we're still human beings that evolved from the same kind of human beings 100,000 years ago. Okay. So we still have those impulses, but we're trying to get along in 2019, just as you said, where we have options. We are released from responsibilities and accountabilities that we had in our evolutionary past, but we don't have those today. So that's why it seems kind of like, well, why bother? Well, okay, fine. Why bother? But I would say that from an evolutionary standpoint, if you just want to do nuts and bolts here, it is better to have two parents that are invested in that kid, because there are trade-offs.
Right.
Sexual strategies for men and women are different. Okay. Men's sexual strategy is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. Women's is quality. Okay. Quality versus quantity.
Right.
And so, and so within those trade-offs, a man has to know that the paternity of the child is his. Okay. So there's has to be some sort of agreement, or there has to be some sort of, if I'm going to abandon my sexual strategy, I need to know that damn kid is mine. Okay. So what do? Well, we evolved parts of our, evolved mental firmware to be interested in our own paternity. Well, what do we have now? Well, we have this whole, social order that's trying to tell men, oh, that shouldn't matter. Don't worry about it. All we're going to do is worry about women's sexual strategy from here on out. So and this gets back to what you were talking about before, Donovan, is that, because where we live right now, we prioritize women's sexual strategy above men's sexual strategy.
Yes.
So men are figuring this out right now, and they're going, why am I even bothering with this? Well, the only reason to bother with this is if you want to raise a child to its maximum potential.
Ryan, go.
I would say, instead of, like, to add on to this, not so much child, but legacy. Like, for example,
Damn.
Yeah, well, no, it's the thing. Like I said, there's always and maybe I'm talking about the edge cases here, but it's like, The same way that we're hardwired to want carbs, and chocolate cake kind of attaches to that hardwire and it really works against us. Think of it more of a positive version of that. So all this stuff, 100% right, 100% true. But let's say there's a lot of women now who don't want to have kids. There's some that do, there's some that don't, whatever. If you're with that person but there's still that drive for legacy afterwards. And let's say you get Deads and Sushi is one on my Twitter feed that's just like that. She does not want kids. But if you're in that situation, that biological drive to create something permanent is still there. So, and I'll use my example here. When I decided to go full on manosphere and leave corporate life here, and we'll see how well that works. So talk to me in a year if I'm still here or if I'm working in an office, but it still gives that whole drive. And this same thing where Rollo's like, you know what, a guy, when he wants to take care of his progeny, will work harder. It's a biological drive. Now, if you can take that to something that's less traditional or less conservative than children, you can go that route too. But it's a complementary thing. And as much as that people say that hypergamy is something that needs to be handled against, at the same time, it's got a bit of a fire under a guy's ass. Like the idea of being rejected by a girl is something that we'll never truly get rid of. So if you have a wife or a girlfriend or an LTR that's like pushing you to be better because it works out for her, at the end of the day, it's still pushing you to be better.
Right.
And as long as you have the fortitude to be able to stand your ground when you need to, that is a force. It can be a force for good. And I just refer to it as making hypergamy work for you.
Very good.
Yeah.
No, that's well said. You actually make a very good point. From the look on Steve's face, it looks like you stole a little bit of his thunder, but Carl had something real quick before Steve.
Yeah, I was just going to say that monogamy's freaking fantastic if you're the government.
Right.
Not to put on my tinfoil hat and play the bit of Alex Jones here, but like, if you want to create a stable state where men are encouraged to produce the absolute maximum of resources, well, you want to make sure that as many men as possible get laid. Because if you link up men and women, they'll have kids, and men will want to support their kids. Like Rollo said, they'll work harder to support their kids. And the wives will breed those kids. And who sits here with and gets a cut of everything? Well, daddy government collecting protection money, or otherwise known as taxes. And, you know, ideally, they want to get those kids into a kindergarten when they're like 3 years old. So the mom gets back in the workplace and they can tax the crap out of her. They can tax the crap out of the girl who works in the kindergarten, taking care of the mother's child. And ideally, the state taxes every single level of this. And I think that's the funny thing about the tradcons, is that they're playing into the game of the state, because like the natural order is one man, multiple women. It's polygyny. One man, one high value man monopolizes multiple women. The Mormons still do this to some extent. And a lot of guys go without women. Of course, that leads to unfortunate consequences, because if, let's say you have 40, 50%, maybe 80% of men unable to have a biological legacy, they're not bound to the society, they have no reason to invest in the state, and they have every reason to kill the 20% of men who are monopolizing all the women. So you get warfare and you get murder, more or less. So the state has every incentive to maintain the idea that monogamy is the ideal, and they'll use God to push that through, even while the Catholic priests are busy getting busy.
All right, Steve. So add on to that. I know that Ryan. Listen, he took what you said, legacy. Try to add on to that, Steve. Come on, rescue us.
Rollo, I got to blame both of them. I got to blame Rollo too, because he took my thunder too. So I'm just trying to figure out how I can paste into what I want to say. But God, I just don't want to sound like I'm like repeating what they're saying, but they're so right on this. The thing that I always tell guys is that the only reason you should be married is if you want to start a family, or if you want your bloodline to go on. There's there's too many women out there, and there's too much out there to do. And see, I had to pull out my hammer now because they don't have a hammer, so I can pull out my hammer. Yeah, so they got it. The great thing about it is it's your sperm, it's your last name, and the best thing about it is finding a woman. God damn it, my fucking computer! It's finding a woman that is worthy of your sperm and worthy of your last name. The two guys said it the best, so I'm just gonna shut up. They took my thunder. Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all, but goddamn, man.
All right, so let's get back. So Rollo says that he can dovetail this whole monogamy thing into the most challenging aspects of living the red pill life. What you got for me?
All right, here's the thing. I just saw, and of course, yes, of course, I don't know why we didn't even start with this, but yesterday was International Women's Day, right? And so my Twitter feed was just flooded with all of this fempowerment narrative crap. Okay, it was like, oh, women are great. Oh, look, there's going to be an all-female spacewalk coming out. Yeah, in the ships that men built for you to go and take you. Well, look, we get to play too, you know. But I watched. Somebody sent me this one link, and it was I think it was a Vice video, and it was some chick. So yeah, I think she was like 32. She looked actually a little bit younger than that, but she's 32 years old. So epiphany phase or post epiphany phase. You know, fairly attractive. I would give her somewhere between a 7.5, maybe an 8. But she's in China. And the first place that she's talking about like gender issues like in China right now because of the one-child policy is there's like 40 million more men in China than there are women right now, and because China has imported Western feminism and Western ways of dealing with gender right now. The old guard, the more patriarchal Chinese right now are still kind of clinging to that, like they know best. So it's like she went to this park where the parents of these kids all get together and they try to play matchmaker, right? And she interviews. She's an American. She interviews these Chinese guys who basically keep these big, huge binders full of like single women and single guys, and they try to like match them up, and every criteria that they used was okay, the guy's got to be high, he's got to have some height, he's got to be, you know, because like the average height of a Chinese guy is like, I think 5'5" or 5'6", somewhere around there. So she's already too tall for most of the guys there. but I mean, just brutal hypergamous like qualifications. You know, the guy's got to have a good job. He's got to come from a good family. And it's everything you would expect from like when we talk about alpha seed and beta need, alpha fucks and beta bucks. Now I owe $1 for the chip jar. But I was going to say is that what happens is because of that Western feminism or that Western style understanding of gender, we're looking at this. We're supposed to look at this situation where the parents are trying to set up the kids, you know, because they want the best for their kids, right? I mean, exactly what we're just talking about here when it comes to parental investment. These are old school Chinese people who have children that they want them to, you know, to the best for those kids, right? And so they go and they look for the best, you know, husband or the best wife for them because they want to have a good relation between that, because also monogamy is not just and how do we get on this, but monogamy is not just about raising the kids or parental investment. It's also about bringing together a tribe, bringing together, like, because really what is monogamy? It's bringing together one family to another family to another family to another family, so, until you've got this kind of like tribal unity or this tribal understanding, because you all have the same last name, right? You all have the same your cousin's married to so and so or whoever, you know, that kind of stuff. It's beyond just parental investment. It's also about the larger social, you know, side of things. So, well, now that we're a tribe, because all of our friends are married, or all, you know, we're all some way interrelated here. What can we do as a tribe? Well, we can build a town. We can build things up from that, and so we can build into a city, or we can build into a nation. Right. So we have this like collective, and I really feel, and this is one of many disagreements I have with Jordan Peterson. I think the tribal instinct in human beings is something that is intrinsic. It's something that we evolved to have, because again, relying on, you know, our hunter-gatherer roots, you know, we had women who would, you know, behave as women, behave as, you know, what we now call gender roles or gender specific roles. Where did those come from? Well, they are evolved. They're part of our mental firmware. That's why women interact with women the way that they do, and men interact with the way men do as well. And so the connection I was gonna make here is this, is that because of that tribal instinct, and because of the things that we have as part of, what our natures are, that extrapolates into what we, how we behave societally. How we talked about this a little bit, I think, on the politics show when I was in Orlando in January. But what I think is interesting right now is this girl who's out there, and she's doing this interview of these Chinese parents. She's just appalled at this. It's like she's, and remember, this attitude or this gender understanding is maybe 50 years old, maybe. And she's like appalled, and she's just looking at this like, oh, I can't believe they would consider these 32-year-old women like her.
Is that Robin Korth?
No, it wasn't Robin Korth.
Okay.
No.
Right.
But I know Robin Korth is like way old, man.
God,
she's
yeah,
like
dude.
68 or something. She's like pushing,
and she was
70
pissed
years
off
old.
like 5 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Dudes
But
were,
what I was gonna say is like that. Okay. So again, this is like, when I look at something like this, I look at it with a red pill lens, and that's really where I was going with this. Is that we can't see, I can't unsee this anymore. So when I see something like the Captain Marvel thing, or if I see something like this Chinese, the Chinese matchmakers, and just to see the look of disgust and the comments, of course, from women and Western women saying, oh, I can't believe that they would call that poor 32-year-old woman a yellowed pearl, right? Because she's too old to get married.
Right.
Men don't want a 32-year-old; they want a 23-year-old. Right. Oh, well, that's horrible. They've been socialized to think those things. No, they haven't. It's actually part, again, red pill awareness. It's actually part of your internal wiring. It's part of your evolved mental firmware to want youth and fertility. But they think that's just terrible. We should be evolved past that by now. No, we're not. That's why this is a show. That's why people want to watch this shit. So anyways, I was just going to say is like, when it comes to looking at things in the outside world, I've written a post call, and it's actually a chapter in one, and I think book 3 is called The Red Pill Lens. And that's where I wanted to start with today's conversation, actually, is people always say you can't unsee the red pill. You can, once you've read my book, you can't like stick your head back, you can't plug yourself back into the matrix, right? And you can't unsee what you're seeing, because I've had guys do that too. Like, the guys will come up to me and they will say like, I think Roll is wrong. I don't know what he's talking about, or it grates or it conflicts with their previous ego investments, like their blue pill conditioning, right? It's just too raw a reality for them to accept, because if they know that if they accept it, they're going to have to change. That's why people resist the red pill. Because it's not that they're resisting the truth of it; they're resisting the impulse, or they're on notice. They have to change. People always say, well, MGTOW's this or MGTOW that. It's like, no. Here's the thing: is if you are red pill aware, you cannot help but think differently. You cannot help but cut yourself away from that old way of thinking. Because even if you do, you'll end up like devouring yourself, right? Because what happens is, you'll say, okay, no, the red pill's not true. No. You don't want to see anything, but in your periphery, whenever something comes up socially, you're going to see the code in the matrix. You're going to see red pill truths in the relationships that you have with other people, whether that's at work, whether that's with your family, whether that's with chicks, whether that's with your sister or your mom or whoever else. Right. You're going to see those truths. And again, this is not pickup. Okay. This is not like, oh, I'm going to use red pill awareness to go get laid. Great. That's where it all started. Okay. Yes. But it's much, much more than that now. It's all about seeing things with a different lens. When I wrote that post, I just watched It's a Wonderful Life. It was Christmas time, right? And we watched that movie, It's a Wonderful Life. And that was filmed back in like the 40s, I think. But like the story of it went from like in the 1920s all the way up through like post World War II, like right up to at the time it would have been modern times for them. And when you look at the interaction between I think the guy's name is George Bailey, and I forget his wife. I think Mary's his wife, right? And you look at the interaction between them, like they're supposed to be young kids in the beginning, and then they get married and they have kids, and you see this progression. And people are appalled at this, like especially again once again, like this with our Western progressive sensibilities, we look at this and we go, oh, that was so horrible back then. No, it wasn't horrible. It was freaking great, because men knew what they had to do and women knew what they had to do, and everybody had a purpose and everybody had a direction and a goal. And instead of being like these rudderless lost boys, that we talk about all the time, they knew what they had to do, and they knew what the engagement was. And still, like today in other cultures, that it's not quite as ambiguous as it is here in the West. But we look at that, and like, of course, women think that that's horrible. Like, oh, she should have had the option to go and become, do whatever. But you know what? Mary in that story is actually, she's supporting her husband, but she's also doing her own thing because she wants to. She's invested in the success of that family because she really has a genuine desire for George, right? But so I looked at this, and I looked at it with a red pill lens, and I go, there are so many red pill lessons in this movie. And people say, well, that's just nostalgia, or that's just you trying to be some, 1950s chauvinist caveman. No, it's not. It's like, if you look at the interactions between the genders back then and you compare them to what we are now, it's almost like a golden era. Like, why don't we have this now? Why can't we think about these things now? We've like convoluted things so much right now, based on this idea that, we're all blank slate equals and we all have, go along to get along kind of shit. So anyways, I just wanted to tie that in there, as I think that when we see these things, whether that's in the workplace or that's in our social situations or that's with our parents, we can't unsee the red pill. We are always going to use our red pill lens with our relationships.
Well said. And by the way, Robin Korth these days looks more like the Crypt Keeper than Robin.
Yeah, I've written actually 2 essays about her, because she is one of these women who has got to just about 70 years old, still thinks she needs to be still thinks she wants to be in the sexual marketplace, and gets butt hurt because guys ask her to wear lingerie to make herself look a little bit more sexy.
Oh
for
my
them,
God!
Right?
What man with a healthy sexual appetite would ask a woman in her 60s to wear lingerie? She needs to really take a look at the men.
I just looked her up. Ew.
Yeah, she looks like she looks like the Crypt Keeper.
I'll dig up that post here. Hang on.
Yeah, please do. Nicholas Parkinson, I'm going to get to your super chat questions here in a little bit, along with Martin Van Ball. My take on, and this is just real quick, my take on the most difficult parts of living the red pill life is the maintenance, man. Living the red pill life ain't easy, man. And I say this all the time. It's very easy for men to be Captain Red Pill. Like, if she messes up, I'm going to punish her. And, I've got to punish the bad, reward the good, blah, 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 blah. It's very, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's a lot easier to be Captain Red Pill when there aren't feelings involved than when there are feelings involved, when you do have skin in the game. So to me, the most difficult part about living the red pill life clearly comes within the context of a long-term relationship, whether it be an LTR, a marriage, cohabitation, et cetera, et cetera. Let's get to the super chat questions here. The first one comes from Nicholas Parkinson. He actually asked 2. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat ×2. Says, will polyamory or polygamy be more adopted? That was his first question. He asks, when do you think this feminism BS will die? So let's try to do this rapid fire here. Polyamory, polygamy. Do you think that's going to be more adopted? Carl, I'd like to get your thoughts on this.
I don't think so. I think, the polygamy might be, because, there are a lot of ugly bitches who can rail in 3 or 4 betas to finance her lifestyle, but while she's having trains run on her by the Harlem Globetrotters. So, the last caucus wasn't born today and won't be born tomorrow. So I think that you might see that grow from guys who have no other option than to triple up on the same chick. I mean, whenever I do searches for double penetration, that's 1 in the pink, 1 in the stink. It's not just only 1 girl and 2 guys to wallets, but fair enough. People can do whatever they want. I think a very, very low number of men will be able to pull off holding multiple girls, especially over time, because even I notice it a bit that, you'll have a plate and then suddenly she'll be like, hey, listen, it's great seeing you. I'd like to continue seeing you. But, an ex got in touch and we're going to see if we can get the LTR to work, or, I don't want to fuck around. I'm trying to become serious. So you get those girls. So I think it's a difficult thing to pull off, and I don't think you'll see it become mass adopted. But we're already seeing some elements of it with, especially Tinder, Bumble, Happen, those apps where the top guys are getting most of the action.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think it's kind of adopted a different, more, a better standpoint. Like, think of the guy who's married, has a mistress on the side, who swears he's going to leave his wife for her. She'll stick around for years.
Of
The
course,
divorced guy who gets another girlfriend. I mean, what is that but polygamy? But the only difference is like whether they stay in the same house or not. It's turned from more of a corporate atmosphere where people stay with that one corporation for life, in other words, the harem, into more of like a temporary work atmosphere. So you have your temporary harem, and you trade it off to Chad number 2, who gets his temporary harem, and the girls just float between them.
All right, let's go to the next question here. This is kind of a general question. When do you guys think this feminism BS will die? Me personally, I'm kind of torn. Jonathan from Modern Life Dating says he sees it ending in 30 years. This is the thing for me. I think it could, but I'm not sure, because there are signs out there that would lead me to believe that people are beginning to wake up. But where the rubber meets the road is, will these people who are waking up and understanding feminism for the cancer it is, will they be bold enough to actually make the change? I don't know. I mean, listen, if I were a betting man, my guess is that I'll be dead and buried by the time feminism is completely vanquished. Those are my thoughts. Carl, you said you had something real quick.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, there are no atheists in foxholes, or there are no feminists in war zones.
Very well said. Steve, what you got, man?
Well, the thing is, I think a lot of guys understand is it's going to be around long, because see, you understand, we the guys on this panel, we're a few. I mean, we're a giant breed, and the thing is that we're becoming fossils, like, because not everyone knows how to be a man. There's more of them out there trying to save the ducks in the trees because they want to get closer to women. So we have become more of the enemy. So feminism is I think it's going to keep growing, because a lot of these young men out there don't know how to be men. They do everything they do is for women. So they're going to back women and try to see guys like us as the enemy. So I think it's not going to go away. I think it's going to grow because of their thirst of wanting to be with women and their lack of knowledge to be men.
Wow, well said. Very, very succinct. We've got Martin Van Ball, who has with the 50 Swedish, I think they're called Swedish Kronins, says she used to tell me that I was far away from what she likes in a man looks wise. Rollo, when a chick says that, what does she mean? By the way, I got cheated on.
Yeah, it means you're the beta bucks. That's what that means. I mean, it means exactly what you think it means. All right. It's funny because like when we get questions like this, like people want to have the truth told to them. It's like, you already know the truth, dude. You're not usually the kind of guy I would go out with. Well, unless you are like jacked like Robert Frank or something like that.
Oh my God, that guy's a maniac.
Unless you're that jacked, and she says, I don't usually go with guys who look like you, then it's fairly obvious. But when you're getting something like that, that just means that she's used to hotter guys. It means that what that means is that she has a conflict between her id and her ego. Her id wants to go have sex with the fun, hot guy that she used to get back when she was in her party years, right? But her ego is saying, well, we got to settle down. We got to find somebody who's a good long-term security. We got to find a guy. We got to find a man with some benefits. That's what we got to find. And that's why she's saying that. And so when women start saying things like that, that's a manifestation of what's going on in her hindbrain. She sees you as the beta, and she doesn't know it, she's having a conversation. Her id and her ego are having a conversation. He's not usually the guy I'd really like to fuck. That's what she's saying. And now I owe another thing for the tip jar.
All right. Yeah, the swear jar is making money today.
Sometimes you have to, man. Sometimes you just
got to get the point across, man. Yeah. Gentlemen, you are watching episode 57 of the Red Man Group. If you want to support the RMG, become a patron at patreon.com/Red Man Group. You can also get exclusive access to private Q&A sessions for around 30 cents a day. We are also sponsored by Tactical Soap, which will cause the women around you to involuntarily take off their panties and give you their phone numbers. Yes, gentlemen, they're real phone numbers, not a fake one. We are presented also in part by the 21 Convention Patriarch Edition, an event for fathers by fathers. The event starts on May 3rd and ends on May 5th and will be the first of 3 events this year. Tickets are available right now on at the21convention.org. Again, that is the21convention.org. You can also get on the VIP list for the 21 Convention in Poland, which will be held this summer. Getting on the VIP list puts you first in line for the early bird tickets. Okay, let's switch gears here, guys, and let's talk about the red pill and the workplace, more specifically corporate America. We all know, obviously, that the workplace is riddled with landmines. We all get emails and messages asking us how to navigate the workplace as red pill aware men. We get asked things like, how do I conduct myself without looking like a beta schlub? How do I avoid human resources? How do I handle women in the workplace and so forth? Carl, I'd like to start with you here because you've talked and written extensively about this particular topic. What are your thoughts about the red pill and the workplace in terms of how to navigate it in different aspects, projects, assignments, women, your bosses, your subordinates, etc.?
Well, the reason why I wanted to do this topic was a longtime follower of mine, John D. Campbell, tweeted in what specific elements does a red pill man have to watch out with hiring practices. And, most HR departments are staffed with bitter feminists who can't get laid. And that's why the HR departments are a pain in the ass to deal with. And more or less, they order people cakes and they get people fired. That's what they do. And part of, getting past the hiring process, luckily, that's not heavily influenced until the interview, because most of the time you'll have screening software that looks for specific keywords in a resume. Once you get into the hiring process, you get hired and you get into the corporate workplace, you just have to be a professional. You cannot go around the workplace being Don Draper anymore.
Right.
Because even if the girl you're banging in the workplace is cool with it and she's up for it, there's always going to be that one fat, short-haired, dyed-hair feminist with the tattoo that says "fuck men" and the unsightly septum piercing that's pissed off that someone else is played and you didn't hit on her, and she's going to report you to HR. Or there's going to be some old chick who's like, "Why didn't he hit on me?" and she'll report you to HR. So either way, you're getting reported to HR. And worst case scenario, after you bang the girl and she was down for it, she'll complain and be like, well, now Donovan is my boss and I really want his job, so let's just Me Too him the hell out of there. So my solution is just to remain wholly professional the whole time. Just act the way you normally would, but just take all the edges off and keep it within the corporate code of conduct. Just stick with that. No one can fire you if you perform well and you stick to the corporate code of conduct. And that includes not getting overly drunk at business functions or Christmas parties and doing something stupid. You can more or less get away with anything. It's just guys doing stupid shit like underperforming, then treating their the call center they work in as a personal Tinder Central, or trying to sleep with the women at work, or going nuts and walking into their Silicon Valley company wearing a fucking MAGA hat. I mean, be whatever you want, but act as everyone else. I think that's one of the 48 laws of power.
Mm-hmm. Very good. A couple of super chats here to shout out. Shout out to Jake Clarington with the $10 super chat. Also, Case Moss 1976 with the approximately 11 euro says, on the lonely man, old man myth, I am 42. He's fit, successful, 7 to 8 in looks, always dated about 10 years younger. I am afraid that when I turn 50, that very few or no 25 to 35-year-old women will want me to date an older guy. What is your opinion? Your opinion is wrong. When you're 50, here's the thing. A lot of the sexual prime of a woman is roughly 10 years, give or take a few years, depending upon habits and genetics. The sexual prime for a man is about 20 years. From age 30 until age 50, and sometimes even beyond that, you are still in your sexual prime. So when you turn 50, don't get me wrong, it's not like it's more likely than not that 19, 20-year-olds will want to date you, but you're still going to get attention from them. But make no mistake, my friend, when you're 55, you are still going to have opportunities to date women in their 20s and their 30s. There are women in their 20s and 30s who love dating older men because older men have it together. They have that red pill awareness. They know how to handle women. And again, especially with younger women, they really look to older men. So the answer to your question is absolutely not. When you hit 50, you're still going to be well within your sexual prime. This isn't to say that when you're 75, you're going to be able to date 25-year-olds. Oh, wait a minute. You actually might be able to. So don't get down on yourself because in almost a decade, you're going to be 50. The wall is very different. I'm going to do an episode on this week. The wall is very different for men than it is for women. What are you guys' thoughts on this?
Well, I just want to say real quick, I see that the thing is we can always tell the issue and problems that y'all having with the things that you say. See, the problem he coming out saying he's trying to validate himself. He's 42. He says he's fit. That doesn't mean anything. He says he's successful. Doesn't mean anything to a woman. He's a 7 to 8 in looks. That's your problem. Y'all always try to stand on what you do and not who you are. That's your problem. If you started standing on yourself as a man and said, okay, you know what? I'm 42. I can't wait to get 50 years old because if I'm 50, 60, or 80, I'm still going to smash a 20 or 30-year-old woman. You would see your language is that of someone that doesn't believe in himself. So what I'm seeing in this is that you're using the things that you do as a reason to say, okay, well, this is why I should get somebody younger because of these things. No, you need to take all that stuff out and stand on your own as a man on your own principles. You can get a younger woman, but the thing is, younger women don't want to deal with guys that want to dangle trinkets in front of them. And what I have a feeling that you're doing is when you get 50, because you don't feel confident in yourself, you're going to be the guy that's going to try to dangle his car, his job, what you do for a living to get a woman. And you're going to get her and she's going to want you for what you have, but not who you are.
Excellent. Very well said. Shout out to Carolina Hermes or Herms with the $10 super chat. Also, Jake Clarington with another $10 super chat. He's got a question for Rollo. Says, hi, Rollo. Having trouble understanding what gives off signals of being a beta provider versus being an alpha. If someone has a great job, nice car, nice house, is that counterintuitive to attraction? Good question.
Well, there's two things. Are we going to talk about attraction or are we going to talk about arousal?
There it is. There it is.
Two different things. Okay. So, if you have a nice car, if you have a nice house, all that great stuff, if it looks like if you look like one of the little birds that's already made a nice little nest and you put nice little shiny things in the nest, are you going to attract women who are going to want to, use your nest to lay eggs in? Okay. Okay, fine, but that's you're playing on the attraction side of things rather than on the arousal side of things. The arousal side of things is, do you have shiny feathers, right? Do you have something that gets a woman going, right? Do you have something for you? Because it's funny because and I always this is a very common question, and one of the only experiential answers that I have right now is when I was in my rock star 20s, the most sex I ever got was when I was at my poorest. I had a 1-bedroom studio apartment in North Hollywood. I had a 1979 Toyota white pickup truck with no friggin' tailgate on it. I had 2 amps, I had 2 guitars, and that was like the sum total of my liquid assets, right? And I got laid like tile. Okay. I mean, I had women coming over, like, who would literally like come over in the morning so they could have sex with me in the morning before they went to work. Okay. They would knock on my door or come. I had one chick. I had a friend with a fuck buddy. Okay. Who would come in through the window so that the other girls wouldn't see her coming and doing it. Right. And like, we're literally coming through the window and then leave through the window. Right. Okay. I wasn't worried about whether or not I had nice, sheets on the bed. I didn't go to Bed Bath and Beyond to get nice drapes for that, place. I didn't think about those things because I was what they wanted as far as arousal was concerned. Okay. I certainly wasn't going to marry any of these girls.
And they knew that you weren't.
And they knew that I wasn't. And you know what? It was a lot of fun at the time, and we move on and we change and we do things. But I'll tell you, the other thing is, like, when I met my wife, it was all about arousal. It was all about, I didn't think, oh boy, I really want to start a life with her. I wonder if she'd be great with kids. I didn't think that. I'm like, I want to tap that ass. That's what I thought. And so when you are asking things about that, it's not a hindrance to have, a nice house or to have your own life or to actually have a frame worth entering. But that's not what's going to trigger arousal. So you need to decide what you want. And if you want to know whether or not you're doing that, ask yourself this. Is she breaking rules for me? Is she breaking rules to have sex with me? Is she crawling under barbed wire to get to have sex with me? Is she cheating on her boyfriend with me because she wants to have sex with me so bad? Is she breaking rules, or is she making more rules for you? If she's making more, she sees you as the beta.
Very well said. Yeah, I was going to add on to that, but Rolo stole my thunder. Shout out to Pranav Nurker with the $100 Indian rupees, which is $1.43 roundabout. He says, are the super chat questions digressing the panel from today's topic of discussion again and again? Yes, and that's what it's there for. Thank you very much. Shout out to JC Riggs with the $5 super chat. Says, for Steve, if men can survive without love, how do you account for the hateful, malevolent men that grew up without love? Very good question. Steve, what you got?
Well, you don't account for them. Again, what they do and what they feel is none of your business. And that's how you got to look at it. You've got to stay on your narrative and stop, Negan. You got to stay on your narrative and your goals on doing things. Don't worry about the next man. Look, the thing is, everybody on this panel is what I call the Tom Brady of manhood, or the red pill, because if you, I talked to Donovan about this, if you think about the most hated quarterback in the NFL, it's Tom Brady. But they hate him because of his success. They hate him because they can't do the things. They hate Ryan. They hate Rolo. They hate Carl. They hate Donovan because they can't be them, or they don't know how to adjust or push their pride or their self-importance aside to learn how to get on the pathway towards manhood. So you just got to understand this. The more hate that you get from people, the more you are doing right, because success is always going to bring in more hate. Because a lot of guys are going to be mad, jealous, a little more feminine, mad, jealous, and angry at the fact that you're doing things that they can't do.
I'm actually going to add
some of those guys hate me because I told them to go fuck themselves.
Well, yes, that would probably be it. And there's another $1.99 for the swear jar. I'm going to actually answer this question using two people here. And I swear to God, I'm going to bring this around. Taylor Swift and Jason Varitek. Okay. We all know who Taylor Swift is. We call her Trailer Swift because, of course, she's a whore and she sleeps around and she writes songs about the breakups. Taylor Swift once wrote a song that it went something to the effect of, don't you worry your pretty little mind. People throw rocks at things that shine. Listen, she's right. Now, to tie that into Jason Varitek, he is the former catcher for the Boston Red Sox. And during a regular season game, Alex Rodriguez is up to bat, and I forget who's on the mound, but whoever threw the pitch threw it up and in. And A-Rod backs up and he looks back at Jason Varitek like, dude, what the hell? Why are you guys trying to throw at me? Jason Varitek says to A-Rod, dude, relax. We don't throw at guys who are hitting 243. Alex Rodriguez took exception to that and they got in a fight. The point is this, is that if you're doing it right, people are going to hate you. Not because you're doing it right, but because they want what you have, but they know that they're unwilling to work for it. People don't boo Blake Bortles, right? Blake Bortles is terrible. He's about to be replaced by Nick Foles. People boo guys like Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees. They boo the great. So if you're out living your life and you tend to catch a lot of heat, listen, there are a lot of reasons why people tend to throw shade at you, but the number one reason is that they want to be you, but they know they can't be you. Rolo, what you got on that?
I was just going to say is like, I get back to the real question here is like, how can these guys survive without love?
Yes.
Oh, without love, why? Okay. Why do you think of in those terms, right? You're thinking like a woman. You have been conditioned to think that you've got to have love to exist, right? We've got to have love to exist, to be in live a fulfilling. It's like you're throwing out all of these prerequisites that your feminine correct conditioning has taught you to believe. Okay, well, these guys must be manipulative assholes, violent men because they weren't loved. No, there's a lot of other reasons why guys become violent assholes because of that. It's not because of love. Okay, that might have something to do with it, but it might be that they lived a shit life. Okay, how about that? How about they're like responding and they're trying to build themselves back up from where they were and they're pissed off. Right, like these guys, like when we talk about like the guys like what you call it, the school shooters, like Nicholas Cruz or somebody like that.
Right,
it's not because mommy didn't hug them more. It's because they're frustrated as fuck. It's because they don't understand. They're confused about stuff like that. They haven't figured things out, and so men. Instead of like when women can't figure things out, they cry and they emote and they go and have coffee with their girlfriends and they talk it out. Guys get pissed. We go, we lift weights, man. We fight. Why do men like to fight? Why? Why do we like that? Why is that? Because it's just how we deal with it.
Dude, it's
like
the
men and
adrenaline
women
rush, man, for me.
Okay, and here's my final point. Men and women process emotion differently, okay? Particularly negative emotion. And this is a scientific, well-researched fact, okay? Men process emotion differently. So don't tell me that it's like, oh, mommy didn't hug him enough. You know, I hate that shit because I listen to that stuff on it's a first response I get from like NPC on Twitter, like, oh, well, who hurt you?
Oh, yeah, get out of here.
That's all you got? No, I mean, because they don't understand, because it's easier to just throw something out like that and not actually, you know, use the cognitive capacity to actually think about what somebody's saying. It's just like, oh, you know, a woman hurt you. Why are you so bitter?
Yeah, obviously.
No. Go ahead, girl.
Teeth when she gives head.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Real quick, Nick Parkinson, another $1.99 super chat says, guys, do you think women should be promiscuous? No, I don't think. I think that's universal across the board. Ryan, what you got on the on the last question? The malevolent men who open love.
I hate that question, and I hate that question because that's a container word. If you guys don't know what that means, take this box, write love on the label, write man up, write whatever, all these vague, bullshittable terms. And you fill it with all these emotions and feelings, and then you throw it at somebody's feet, and you're like, there, deal with that box. But his box isn't filled with what your box is. What I mean by this is, you're like, how do you get by with things without the love? But what does that even mean? You didn't define it. You don't tell me what that means. You just expect me to instantly know exactly what's going on in your head. Now, for a girl, that means something different. For a 20-year-old girl, that means something different than a 35-year-old girl.
Yes.
So here's the thing I don't like about that. That is a subtle, manipulative way to say you need to think how I think, and I will shame you until you do that. So to answer your question about how do you handle things when love's not in the air or whatever, well, what does that even mean? Does it mean am I happy? Does it mean I'm fulfilled? Does it mean I'm getting what I want out of life? Like you can't even define that. So my answer is just like sawed off. Go away. I seem to be doing all right. I got a big smile on my face. I have a place that I like living in. I have a girl that I like having sex with. Like, what do you want from me? And they'll say some crap like, you gotta love her. And that always ends up going to some kind of feminized, well, if you haven't married her, given your half your stuff and hand over the paychecks and do everything she wants to do without any complaints on your side. That's what it always ends up boiling down to, is give me everything I want and I'm going to shame you until you get it.
This is real life, man. This isn't a White Snake video, okay?
Yeah, the White Snake videos are awesome, by the way. Let's not get that twisted.
Yeah, so yeah, screw that question. Screw the concept of the question. I don't agree with the framing of it. And all right, I guess I survive without love. And those guys that are angry, they got demons to sort out. It has nothing to do with whether you decided to marry your Disney princess or not.
She's in another castle anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna put one in for the jar real quick. Fuck love. All right, stop that love. All right, the thing is y'all, too many of y'all guys are going the wrong way. Y'all need to do something y'all never did before. Is look for respect. Have a respect relationship. Love comes and goes. Women are always going to be in love. And like Ryan is always taking, man, I need to go before him, man. He's always taking my thunder, man. I love that dog, man.
Like Ryan's think alike, man. We're on the wavelength.
He always take my thunder, man. So I just had to swear in the swear jar because I had to be different, man. He always take my thunder. But anyway, what I'm just saying at the end of the day is have a respect relationship. That is something that y'all have never even thought about having. Let women be in love. You demand respect. That's all I want to say. Thanks, Ryan.
Excellent. Very good. Steve, I'm going to come right back to you on the red pill and the workplace and in corporate America. Now, a guy like you, I don't think I've ever known you to have a regular 9-to-5 job. You're a hustler. You're an entrepreneur. Obviously, you've done very well for yourself, financially. What would you advise men who ask you the question, hey, Steve the Dean, how do I navigate the workplace? How do I keep from getting #MeToo?
Well, before 25, 26 years ago, before I retired and started doing this full time, I was working in a work job. I think it was in Toyota. I was working at Toyota. But the thing is,
I love what you do for me.
Toyota. Right. Thanks. But
we're dating ourselves. That was when I was a kid, man.
But what I always tell guys, you have to understand this. And Carl said it the best again. Carl, you taking my thunder as well. The thing is, you have to really go in and just do your job, clock in, clock out. But with that being said, you have to understand that you are going to have a thing called a reputation. And your reputation as a man is not because of what you're doing. It's what other guys are telling other women about you. Well, you know what? I saw Rolo the other day. We talked about smashing some chicks and he didn't have the sheets right. I saw Ryan the other day doing this, and I saw Carl and Donovan. See, guys are going to sell you to women, and women are going to be very intrigued with you. So what's going to happen is, while you're at your job, they're going to start coming up to you, trying to, well, I'm having a problem in my relationship. You think we can take lunch? You're going to have women throwing themselves at you. But what I'm saying is you got to maintain the course. Keep it professional. Even though they want to talk to you on happy hour, they want to touch you and want to go to lunch with you. Do not do it. But I'm just letting you guys know that you're going to be talked about more than anybody else, because you're going to be the quote unquote soap opera of the workplace, because a lot of the guys there are boring and women love excitement. And a lot of guys think by thinking they're throwing you under the bus, by making themselves look good, it's going to intrigue the women to want to know you more. So you just got to be careful when you're in the workplace as a man, because women are intrigued by the guy that is just keeps to himself, but they know he has women. But why doesn't he like me? Is something wrong with me? Am I not pretty enough? Well, what I need to do is I need to go over there and talk to him to see if he notices me. And if he doesn't notice me, why doesn't he notice me? And I'm on my period. And Jen said, well, that's just all. That's what happens, man.
I love it, man. All right, guys, we're going to open up the phone lines. 914-205-5356 is the number to call. If you're outside the U.S., it is 001-914-205-5356. Super chat questions always get first priority. Phone calls get second priority, so keep that in mind when you call. Try to be patient, and we'll get to as many of those, many of you guys on the phone lines as we possibly can. Ryan, what are your thoughts? Because you used to be in corporate America. You used to be, in a workplace with both men and women. What are your thoughts? How do you navigate it? What are the things that you've done that work? What are the things that you've done that don't work, etc.?
The funny thing is complete segregation. My deployment is actually the best example, because that's basically a corporate office. We were on a floating platform. The girls were completely incompetent, and I'm not even understating it. The one would literally freeze when things got busy. The other one didn't know her job, but she got in because she switched over from the reserves. If you guys don't know, the reserves really don't know what they're doing, but they get promoted real easy. And my boss flat out told me, well, she shouldn't have to earn it, and she was going to get promoted anyway.
What?
Wow. Yeah, well, whatever.
Oh my God.
They really want women in the military, so any chance they have to promote them, it's fine. No harm against her. Clearly they have a criteria they'll promote for, and job competency is not it. So fine, work with that. At the same time, I'll tell a quick story about this lug. If you guys don't know what that is, that's a lesbian until graduation that we worked with. Her name was Morgan.
That's awesome.
So this is for all
awesome.
Yeah. I'm trying to tell a story.
Wow.
So all of my supervisors at the time, they moved on since then, they all used to hang out and just treated her like one of the boys. We're going out for drinks, come with, everybody go out together. And she would always get drunk and say some weird stuff like, do you guys think I'm pretty? Like all this validation seeking crap. And they're treating her like one of the guys, but with tits. So they're like, yeah, of course you are. It's fine. Like the same you would do. You pump your buddies up when he's feeling down. So then she tried charging half the guys in the department with harassment.
Unbelievable.
And so they caught on real quick. They're like, all right, fine. Ignored her for everything. They went out without her. They left her behind. She tried charging them all again, saying that she was leaving me out of this stuff. And so there is no good to come from sexualizing the workplace at all. I would treat it, like Carl said, complete segregation, 100% professionalism. If they bring up personal life stuff like this, sorry, that's not really appropriate for work. Be cold, because it's just not like there's no benefit for me. If I'm working with a girl, unless I need her I need you to give me this deliverable, that's fine. But that's a work talk. Any social aspect, I will get what I need and more from any of the guys I work with without the risk attached. So it is just, I hate to say it, but we're going to go back to the 1960s where we're just going to have segregated work environments. And they are going to get promoted because they want to show how woke they is. At the same time, you can't really get promoted within a company anyway, so you should be moving out if you want to move up.
Good.
So you need to stop this loyalty thing. It's the same as the married guy who's loyal to his woman that's cheating on him with Chad. The only difference now is the company is Stacy instead of his woman.
Well said.
I'll-
Rollo,
I'll-
what you got?
All right, I got something on the workplace thing. Yes, I actually did work in the workplace at one point.
Ooh.
Actually, for quite a long time. Actually, anybody who doesn't know my background, I worked in graphic design, art direction for casinos as well as liquor companies. I have definitely worked in corporate environments. I actually worked for a company that is I'm not going to name the name of it, but it is a company that makes the electronic gambling kind of like video poker and stuff like that. I think probably Donovan knows the company because he lived in Reno. It's the biggest one that's in Reno. But anyway, so I understand the corporate environment. And then once again, like I was saying before, is like once you see the red pill, once you see the code in the matrix, it applies to everything. And that applies to your workplace as well. Dealing with, say, a female boss and understanding like what it is that is motivating her, why she's in the position that she's in. 9 times out of 10, she's just there because she's a diversity hire, or she's we need to get a woman in this position. Not necessarily because of merit, but because of some sort of sense of, Title IX-ish equality. Okay, so that's part one. Why is that? Why do we feel like we need to put a woman into a position of authority, particularly when there are other men that are would be better suited for that particular job? This is one constant that I've seen across the corporate landscape, and you have to understand it wasn't always like this. Most successful companies are based on a merit-based hierarchy. Okay, there's the boss at the top, and then there's the upper management, and then there's the middle management, and then there's the lower management, and then there's the plebes, right? Then there's the guys that are actually doing the work, right? But you have this merit, at least ostensibly, it's a merit-based workplace, and that's how it used to work, right? I mean, back in the late 40s, 50s, 60s, you went to work. You remember back in the 60s or 50s or 60s, you went to work at one company, you stayed with that company, and you got a pension, and the company took care of you, right? If you did a good job, you put in an honest day's work, you get an honest day's pay, right? That was the old school, right? Now we jump from job to job to job. My mom used to get so pissed off at me too. And again, you want a red pill in the workplace. My mom used to get so pissed off at me because I would jump from place to place to place, right? I don't think I had a job that I would work for more than 4 or 5 years, and then I would move then I moved to another one, right? I worked
and it's more like 2 or 3 now.
Yeah, exactly. The longest job I've ever held was for about 9 years, and that was at an import-export for liquor, and that was really long for me. And the only reason I left that is because the company it divested itself. And why did it divest itself? Because they brought in women who decided that they knew what was best for that company, and within a year and a half of them being instituted put into positions of authority, the company just died. Okay, so I'm not. You can take that however you want to think about that, but I'll tell you this is, so back in the 60s, back in the 70s, most of the successful companies that are still successful today were based on a male form of hierarchy, on a dominance hierarchy. If you think about it, that's what a corporation is. You do a good job, you get paid X amount of dollars. You do a little bit better job, or you do a more important job, you get paid X amount of dollars, right? And it's based on hierarchy. Well, what we've done is we've inserted women into the workplace, and what that does is it changes that work culture dynamic from the meritocracy or the meritorious way of doing business, because it's not about your feelings. It's not about being a good company. It's about making the money. It's about making sure that the people who have invested in your stock are seeing a dividend at the end of the year. It is cutthroat, and that's what business is. Okay, it's like you evolve or you die, right? So what we've done is, since the 70s, really, we've put more and more women in, because we feel, well, we need more women, we need more, we need to have more the idea that like companies suddenly become better companies because we have put more women into them is complete fantasy, where the jury's still out. Okay, because we've only been doing this for maybe 40 years, 45 years. And Jordan Peterson talks about this all the time. Can men and women work together? We're still finding out. He's absolutely 100% right about that. But what he doesn't get into is that when we put women together, women have a natural proclivity to collectivism. And that's why you see that workplace culture that used to be based on that male meritocracy shift over to female collectivism. And that's why we're at where we are with, like, say, Me Too in the workplace. Okay. That's a weapon, is what that is. It's a weapon to keep men silent. It's a weapon to keep to segregate the workplace. Just like Ryan was saying, we're going to end up having men company, or men's side of the companies, and female side of the companies. We're going to have the men's parking lot and the women's parking lot, which I've already seen a picture for. We're going to separate them, because at some point, the cold, hard, honest, harsh truth is going to be that you can't put the boys and the girls together, because if you do, the boy or the girls will complain about the boys, and you will lose money. Your company will die if you put them together, because it will die, because you can't, first of all, you can't fire a woman, you can't fire a homosexual, you can fire all the guys you want, but you can't fire them, because if you do, that's going to cost you money. It's not just going to cost you money in productivity. It's going to cost you money in settling whatever Me Too suit that comes to mind, right? So
you make them sound like zombies. You got to hit them in the head.
Well, exactly. Well, but see, I'm saying that because that's the reality that most companies, that especially startup companies, have to deal with right now. When I was talking, I've talked about this on Pat Campbell's show, and we had guys call in and say, I will never hire a woman, because it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous to put a woman into a position of authority, or to put not even like just to have a female secretary, because once they do that, they're setting themselves up for a future lawsuit. Even if nothing happened, all she has to do is say, some guy touched me at one point, and it gets out on Twitter, and now your company is whatever it is that it's a PR nightmare. Even if it doesn't last that long, it's still a PR nightmare, because you go and you look up that company on Google, that's the first return that you get on Google. So what I'm saying is that is red pill 101 right there. Women have a collectivist mentality when you put women all together. They band together. It's like the same. It's like that nurturement circle. Okay, it's the sisterhood uber alles. You put women together. Here's an example. They've done this research where they will give women X amount of dollars. Here's a lump sum of money, and you have to give this money to the people who are in your all female group, and women will go, okay, one for you, one for you, one for you, one for you, and they will put it out as evenly. They'll distribute that resource or that wealth, or if it's money, then that's what it is. But they will distribute it. They lean towards distributing it as equal as possible. If you do the same thing with men will say, Jim, you did a good job. Here you go. Here's your $5. John, you did a little bit better job. So here's your $10. Jim, you're kind of, you're important, but here's your $5, right? And so it'll be based on merit, right? Now, take that and put that into the business, put that into the workplace right now. That's what we're dealing with, because once we put women in there, the workplace environment turns collectivist. Well, we need to have pregnancy leave. I'm not saying that that's a bad idea, but that's the first thing they think of. It's not like, how can I make this company more money? How can I build myself up? It's not ambition. It's like, we need to have daycare in the company.
Yeah, that's
right. That's the first and most important thing to change about the company. So when women come in, they change it so that it is more, well, first of all, more collectivist, but it's to that workplace environment is more to their liking as a woman. So it's like, okay,
imagine going to an office where you have to deal with the bullshit at work and have to have screaming kids around you too. Suicides would go through the roof.
Right. Well, so when you put men into a new company, they're like, okay, how can I advance in this company, or how can I make more money for this company so that I can advance, right? They're thinking about things from a terms of like a merit-based, that their natural merit-based ideologies when it comes to working. For women, it's, I need pregnancy leave. We need daycare here. We need to have mandatory. We need at least one day off per month so that we can deal with our women's issues. With our it's that time of the month, so we're going to we need a special dispensation for that. And so when you, as a business owner, when you look at that, do you want that liability, or do you want the guy that's going to say, hey, I'm going to make you some more money here, I want to advance, I want to be a partner in the firm or whatever, right? You're going to hire that guy. You're not going to want to, you don't want to hire liabilities. That's red pill 101. That is understanding the well, first of all, the nature of women, but also the socio-sexual nature of women. And now we have to deal with that in Western society. So we have to, well, you know, I'm not saying, oh, well, Rollo said that they shouldn't have pregnancy leave. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that that's the first thing out of the head, right? I'm not saying that that's a bad idea. Maybe that's a great idea. Maybe you should do it for guys too, right? Fantastic. But that's a cost. That's a liability for that guy. And these are just the cold hard facts about, you know, red pill in the workplace.
Carl, you have something to add to this, and then we'll hit the super chats.
I was actually going to hit that super chat with the Daniel Mountain, currently working health.
Very good. Perfect. Yeah, the question he's talking about, it's with the $6.99 super chats, is currently work in healthcare, plan to switch to CBSA before becoming a cop. Do you think it's important to work a more masculine job when red pilled? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, no, I don't think it's more important to work a more masculine job. I think it's important to never work for a company where women make up more than 1/3 of the total employees.
Woo! I like that. That's a good answer. It's a very good format.
If you have about, like, the second the number of women hits a critical mass, it's like having, let's see, an example that won't get me blown up or no. Never mind. There's a certain number of people you can have of a certain group within an organization before things go to shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like Steve, Donovan, like, you guys know that once you hit a certain number of black men within a company, someone's going to get into a fist fight. Once you add a certain number of rednecks to a company, someone's going to get shot. Whatever.
My truck is bigger than yours. No, my truck is bigger. I got mud flaps. You don't.
Who stepped on my Pumas?
That's definitely
more than 1/3 Canadians. Everyone starts being sorry about everything all the time, and it just becomes fucking exhausting. But anyway, what I was getting at is, once you get above a certain number of women in the company in general and in management positions in particular, like if the management group of the organization is more than 50% women, just quit now. That company is going to be an absolute cunt to work with, and I don't mean the boss specifically, I mean the company. It's just a gaping hole of no return that will drive you into a slow and painful suicide of birthdays and baby showers, and you used mean words. Well, yes, you sold more than she did, but she was nicer to her customers. It's just a train wreck. And on that note, I'm going to go get laid before I kill myself.
Very good. Yeah, thank you
Carl.
to Carl from Black Label Logic. You guys can hit him on Twitter at blacklabellogic.com. Black Label Logic, I'm sorry, at Black Label Logic. Blacklabellogic.com is his website. Let's go to the next super chat question, and 210-474, please stay put, where again super chat questions get first priority. We're going to get to you guys as soon as we can. Pranev Nurkar with the 200 Indian rupees, which is about $2.80 something cents, says, I've gotten feedback from my colleagues at the workplace that I've become arrogant, aka attitude problem. This is since I become red pill. Do you think I should use the 48 laws of power? What would you say?
No, keep driving yourself into the fired land. Definitely don't try and get your coworkers not to try and fight you.
Yeah, those are the guys that get #MeToo'd. The guys who are the guys who try to dial it back. The guys who I don't want to get into this whole alpha beta thing, but the guys who tend to get #MeToo'd are the guys who are supplicating, guys who are unabashedly selfish, arrogant. Not to say that those guys won't get #MeToo'd, but those guys are less likely to. Christopher Emmanuel with the €10 says, Rollo, loved your books. Do you believe that dressing well exhibits higher value, of course, when paired with an interesting alpha mentality? Also, how do you control frame among your male peers?
You know, Vox Day did a really good Vox University thing on sociosexual hierarchies. I think he just put it out like 2 days ago. Now, Vox talks a lot about like alpha, beta, delta, gamma, omega, all of these classifications. I think he's, after seeing that, I think I have a new opinion of that. I think he's actually pretty spot on about those as categories. I'm kind of against categorizing guys, because as soon as you do that, they'll do something that will change your mind about them, or they'll, all you got to do is tell a guy he won't do something and he'll freaking go do it, right? But I think that when he was describing the alpha archetype, it's like do you want to be that guy? First of all, do you want to be the dude who's like has to be in control of dudes all the time, or would it be better to just simply inspire confidence and inspire respect rather than demand respect? I think that's the first part that you have to really come to terms with, is like, why do I want to be in control? Why do I want to have a frame with these guys in the first place? Is it even worth your while to do so? There's a pragmatic aspect, but if you're in that situation, and the question he really is asking is like, should I dress differently, or should I present myself differently? That's straight out of 48 Laws of Power. Okay. Treat yourself like a king if you want to be treated like a king, right? Enter into action with boldness. That's another one. Read 48 Laws of Power. There's so much that goes along in there. Also, I should add, since I'm quoting Robert Greene, I should also throw in Mastery in there too. Read that book as well. But does dressing better? Yeah, of course it does. I mean, you know what's funny is like I could go into when I'm working with my liquor brands, I might just dress like this, or I might like go in a t-shirt and jeans or something, because I'm just want to be comfortable, because I'm usually in a studio all day and I'm just working, right? But when I go out on a promo, when I go out to one of these clubs, when I go, Donovan, when I go out to Lex out here,
Yeah, there we go.
when I go out to Lex, I dress completely different, because you're dressing for the occasion. You're dressing for whatever it is that you're doing. I've done promos at goth bars before. Okay, now I didn't go put on, mask. I didn't put on guy liner or anything like that, but I have done.
Whatever. You were talking about Twisted Sister. I know
about White Snake, man. Yeah, no, but I mean, you went in Rome, right? But I think that there is always going to be a certain degree of an appearance of power, right? And so if you really want to learn more about this, I'm going to give a plug to my good friend Tanner Guzzi, who has a great book called The Appearance of Power. Go look that up and read that, and you will get a better understanding of the question you're asking.
Okay, very good. We had okay, very good. 914-205-5356. Again, that's 914-205-5356. Area code 210. Thank you very much for holding. You are on live with the Red Men Group. You go ahead.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
How you guys doing? Michael, I appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you for the videos. I watch them all the time, and they've helped me greatly. So appreciate what you guys do. Keep doing what you're doing. So there's a couple of things I want to touch on. Earlier, you guys were talking about not dating women in the workplace. I agree with y'all 100%. I knew a buddy of mine. I'm actually in the Navy right now, and I knew a buddy of mine
enlisted.
He had sex with a girl that was on his same ship, and because he did not want to be in a relationship with her,
oh boy,
she ended up accusing him of rape.
Oh.
And
dude, why is your coxswain not posting? They always post the chick off the boat when they find out they're dating. What is wrong with him?
Yeah, I know. It was crazy. I actually advised him to not fuck around with her. Sorry for my language, but
that's $1.99 for the swear jar there, caller. Go ahead.
You owe us a super chat now.
But yeah, so he actually, now he didn't end up getting kicked out of the Navy. He's still in it, but he had to get sent to another ship, and now that accusation is in his record.
So he got a reprimand then, or is he just getting administrative action?
It was administrative action.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was either she left or he had to leave. So
that's a failure on your coxswain for not snipping that in the bud, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. It was.
Anyways, I'm interrupting. You had a question somewhere in there, and I'm blabbing about Navy stuff. I'm sorry.
So I highly advise guys, everybody listening, please, do not interact with women at the workplace. Be professional. Do not flirt. Do not joke around. We live in a day and age where unfortunately it's too dangerous to be flirting or dating girls in the workplace. So that's number one. Number two, I don't know if you guys know the anime Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
I'm sure some of y'all probably heard about it.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, my little sister loves that show.
Yeah. So there's a new movie that came out, Dragon Ball Super Broly. So it's the new Broly movie. Anyways, the voice actor for Broly, who works at Funimation, he just got accused of sexual harassment. And Funimation actually just recently fired him because of accusations. No proof, no evidence of anything. And
That
so
sucks.
this guy was working for over 25 years of doing voice acting for Dragon Ball Z and other animes as well. Now the fan base is in an uproar, and they're actually going against Funimation. The guy's name is Vic Mignogna. You can look him up on YouTube. You can look at the case. He actually has lawyers that are pursuing to sue against these accusers, which are two women, you know, obviously.
Cool.
And they might actually sue Funimation. The fans for Vic Mignogna's GoFundMe raised already over $100,000
Wow.
for this GoFundMe. And so the whole reason why I'm bringing this up is this. Men are starting to wake up. Shows like what you guys are doing are helping. And like I said, cases are now getting a pushback. Now men are starting to realize, you know what? This can't happen anymore. This is wrong. This guy just got fired. His whole career has been devastated because of accusations with no evidence, no proof of anything. And any of y'all listening, if you want to look at the case, you want to look at what's going on, just search it in on YouTube. Vic Mignogna, voice of Broly accusations. You'll see a whole bunch of videos on this. He's already raised over $100,000. His lawyers are actually posting videos on what's going on, and they're actually describing why these accusers from Funimation and Funimation itself, which is a corporation, a major corporation, are actually in big trouble because when they did their internal investigation, they realized that the internal investigation was held with members who were actually associated with the accusers, whether they were dating the accusers or whether they were married to the accusers. So now
what you're saying is they deflated the football slightly and it gave them a better throwing arm, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, thanks for the call, area code 210. Listen, this is easy, though, and we all know we shouldn't mess with women in the workplace. But the reason why so many men only try to date women in the workplace is because everything is sort of already taken care of. They know you've got a job, the pre-selection, blah, 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 blah. It's just the lazy man's approach to dating. He doesn't want to take the time. Also, here's something else. If you start sleeping with a woman in the workplace, okay, after you break up, and you are going to break up, if you start sleeping together, et cetera, within 6 months, either you or her will no longer be with the company. If you sleep with a woman in your workplace, within 6 months, one or both of you will not be with the company. You cannot coexist with a woman in the workplace that you have slept with. It's just not worth it. All right, let's go to the next caller here. That was kind of long. Area code 474. Thank you for holding. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hi guys, do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your work. It helped me a lot, and it helped my friends also. So for a couple of weeks ago, I called in and I thanked Rollo for opening my mind with his books and saving me from a lot of suffering from the women's manipulation in my life. And today, Rollo, I want to thank you for saving my relationship with my brother, because after he married, he just disappeared and he gave everything of his life to his woman. But I talked with him last week and I explained all the principles in your book, and everything was correct for him. And now we have built a new relationship between my brother, and I will teach him the ritual. So thank you again, Rollo.
Yeah, thank you. That's good. That's good to hear, man. I like to get stories like that, particularly ones where like so many guys hit me up and they say, "How do I unplug my friend? How do I do this?" And 9 times out of 10, it actually ends up putting a divide between the two of them. It's great to hear that it happened. Good for you.
Yeah, because before I was afraid to talk to him. I was afraid to make the situation even worse. But after I read your book, I want to be a man. I knew I had been manipulated. I was afraid of confrontation before, but now I just go for it. So
good.
It's good. And and I have a small question today, because you was talking about attraction and difference between sexual arousal and attraction for some days ago, and you say we should not go into comfort before sex, but in the PUA community they tell us open attract, where the arousal happens, and then going to comfort or emotional connection, and after that going to seduction. But according to your what you say, we should cut off the comfort phase and go from attraction to seduction or sex. Am I correct? And you say also that the betas don't know what to do with the sexual arousal when it happens in the attraction phase. Would you please give us some examples what we should do with sexual attraction? What should we do and not go into the comfort zone?
Okay, listen, good question. I'll actually quickly answer this.
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as the PUA community is concerned, when they say you have to connect with her emotionally, they don't really mean to connect with her emotionally. What they mean is you need to appear to connect with her emotionally. One thing that I always used to do, especially on first day lays, I use the same line every single time. We'd be out on the date, we'd be drinking or whatever, and I just kind of turn to be like, you know what? Isn't it crazy that the two of us met under these circumstances? Like, what are the odds that you and I would meet at this bar here in Las Vegas? And dude, 11 times out of 10, the girl is like, oh my God, I know, it's like fate and the stars. Now she's invested emotionally. I am not. I'm invested sexually. So now you appear to connect with her on an emotional level because you have mentioned the key word, fate, and what are the odds and serendipity. That is what the PUA community means when they say connect to a woman emotionally. You need to give the appearance that you are connecting to her emotionally.
Well, I was just going to say is that this is an old school PUA concept. Okay. This is like mystery method stuff. Okay. And I have a lot of respect for mystery. I actually broke down a lot of what he has been talking about for quite some time now in the first book. That was actually what inspired me to start writing, was to explain why the techniques and why all the stuff that the old school PUAs were doing was working. Right. And all of the dynamics that were behind that. One area of difference that I have is I don't believe that comfort should be as highly prioritized as they say. And the reason for that is because that's the first thing. That's the first filibuster that women throw out at guys. They throw out the idea that that they need to be comfortable to have sex with you. So you end up spooning with her on the couch or whatever for X amount of hours, and you wonder why you just go home with a weird hard on, right? and so what happens is if you get into this situation where it's all about comfort and it's all about like, oh, okay, I'm there for you, baby, don't worry. And like for most beta guys, they lean really hard to the comfort side. And the reason that they do that is because they're uncomfortable, or they don't give themselves permission to have the kind of the sense of callousness that they need. And callousness, I'm using that because I don't know what else to say, but that sort of like to dissociate themselves from their feelings, right? To so that they're not catching feelings for a girl. Because when guys start studying PUA, usually, like for instance, like a guy who's a natural alpha is not going to start studying PUA because why would he? What's his incentive to do so? So most guys who get into PUA are already betas. They're already guys who want to improve their chances of getting the girl that they want. Usually they're think it's like their one-itis or their the girl of their dreams, right? If I just behave in a different way, then I'll get my girl of my dreams, right? But so you're going in with guys who have a really tough time changing themselves over enough, and in the internal process, to be the guy who amplifies arousal all the time. I think was it a David D'Angelo who said attraction is not a choice?
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
I disagree with that. I think arousal is not a choice. I think attraction is very much a choice. Yes. If you think about it in terms of alpha fucks and beta bucks, it's very much a choice because they're like, okay, well, I've got this guy over here, or I can go have fun with the guy in the hot guy in the foam cannon party, right? I can do this. So they're definitely making a cognitive choice to do something like that because they understand. Like again, what we were talking about before, it's the id versus the ego. What is her hedonistic id want to do with the guy and the hot fun guy in spring break, or her ego says, you know what, we can't live like that all the time. We have to start thinking about the future. What about kids? What about a family? What about, oh, my mom wants me to get married and have grandchildren, all that kind of stuff. That internal conversation that's going on. There's a guy who's going to be the dude who is the arousal guy, and there's going to be the guy who is the beta bucks provisioning guy. Okay, don't take that as if I am saying that that is a straitjacket, that you're either one or the other. You can cross, but you can go from being the alpha, definitely go from being the alpha guy to being that beta chump. Because you lose your frame and you lose, you catch feelings for a girl, you get one-itis for a girl, and you go from being the fun alpha dude that she was having sex with to being the blue pill beta guy that she's like, okay, well, now I'm going to make him wait. Now I'm going to give him rules. Now I'm going to give him rules to follow, whereas before he didn't have that. So how do you do that? Well, you first of all, you have to give yourself permission to do that. This is like the deep internal side of things. It's like, and this is the stuff that like guys from RSD really struggle with, because they have the beta, they have lots and lots of betas who want to improve their lot, right? They want to improve their chances of getting a hot chick. But what happens is the main conflict is they can't make the connection or the transition across what I call across the abyss. They can't give themselves permission to be hot fun guy. Right? Because once they get into that situation, once they get a girl who's actually showing them, IOIs, indicators of interest, once that woman is actually showing them and it actually shows that maybe she's into that guy, and there comes a process of increasing her buying temperature, which is really, if you think about it, increasing a woman's buying temperature is amplifying that anxiety, amplifying the competition anxiety, amplifying the urgency. There's a reason we call it sexual tension, because there's that uncertainty as to whether or not this is going to go down. Am I actually going to have a first night lay with the hot guy in the foam cannon party on Cancun in the spring break, right? Am I actually going to do that? That's the interplay. That's the inner conversation that the woman is having. If you screw that up, you go and you spoon with her for the rest of the night, and it's all about comfort. If you don't screw it up, you do one shot of tequila and you go back and you have really hot, fun, excellent sex with that woman. And then if you decide that you want to have a relationship later on, maybe that's where you take it from there. If not, you move on to the next one. See, most beta guys, when they get into PUA, they do it for one reason. They do it because they still believe the blue pill ideal that, okay, I'm going to listen to what these PUAs have to say. I'm going to do what they say because it'll help me get my dream girl. It'll help me get the girl that has always told me no. If I just ape these behaviors, then I'll get that. And then, of course, hey, I'm a great guy. I'm all about comfort. I'm all about her pleasure. It's Mr. Supplication, right? It's Mr. Pandering. But he doesn't realize it. He thinks that's what he's supposed to do. And so there needs to be that killing off of that beta side of that guy. There needs to be that killing off of that, unlearning those blue pill conditions, and then relearning something that's going to put you into a position of power. Most guys are very uncomfortable being in a position of power, like actually having the authority that they've been denied for so long. Remember, these are guys who've been conditioned from the time that they're like 5 years old to put women on the pedestal, to put womankind on the pedestal, to sublimate themselves as their mental point of origin. That's why I always say mental point of origin is the first place you start when it comes to PUA, when it comes to living a red pill life, because you have to think of yourself before anything else, because you've been trained for so very long not to do those things. So when I hear all these guys talking shit about PUA, right, there you go. Well, PUA is going to turn you into a social robot, right? Or if you follow what these guys say, then you're not going to be who you really are. Well, sorry, but you get to decide who you're really going to be. Okay, that's why I have a problem. That's why I have a problem with Myers-Briggs. Okay, that's why I have a problem with astrology. That's why I have a problem with anything that's going to categorize and classify a guy as one particular thing, because that puts him into that box, just like Ryan was saying. It keeps you categorized because it keeps you in a position that is controllable, right? So what happens is guys police themselves. When you have blue pill conditioning, you are policing yourselves, like, oh, I can't be like that. I could never. How many times have you heard this? I could never be the guy who has multiple girlfriends. I could never do something like that, right? Because they're not giving themselves permission to be that guy, to be the guy who actually gets laid, to be the guy who actually is successful with women. That doesn't mean that you turn into an asshole. Okay, it means you harness the energy of the asshole. Well, I mean, yeah, but you harness it's not a bad thing, but you harness the energy of that asshole. That's what you do.
Yeah. Okay, asshole's not a character flaw. It's somebody else projecting their insecurities onto you.
Yeah,
and badge of honor.
Right. Yes. And by the way, when a woman calls you an asshole, that's a good thing in terms of sexual arousal. Shout out to Prince13X with a $5 super chat. He says, does the workplace rule still count in large retail stores full of horny young people with nothing better to do? Yes. The only time, and I don't even know if this is even true anymore, the only environment that I have ever been in where employees regularly sleep with each other on the regular and it seems to be okay, nobody gets fired, nobody gets #MeToo, are your call centers. But I haven't worked in a call center in over almost 7-8 years now, so it's been a while. I don't even know if that's the case anymore. So yes, that rule absolutely still applies. Got another $20 super chat from Rob Brown. Says, Roll, I just wanted to thank you. I'm the standard middle-aged 46-year-old that thought I had my shit together, only to find out the hard way what a chump I was. So thank you for the information you put out. We got the phone lines of screaming. We're gonna have to mow through.
You are welcome.
Yes, Rolla says you're welcome.
Hey, go leave it if you really feel that passionately about it. Go leave a good review on Amazon for me. How about that? Pandering.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve. You got it.
Is that guy still online?
No, he's not.
Okay, is he? Because I wanted to ask him a question, but he's not online anymore.
No.
All right. Well, I just want to say real quick, this is the reason why a lot of you guys lose right here. I've always asked this question since 1986. When does sex start? A lot of you guys don't even know when sex starts. And another question I always ask is, how many pussies does a woman have? Most of you guys will say one. That's why most of you guys lose. See, the thing is that you got to understand when it comes to being a man, and that's the key word, a man, not a PUA and not some pickup artist or some hustler or Mac, or you think you're a pimp, or being a man. The key word is this, is that when I meet a woman for the first time, I'm not going in to fuck her. Excuse me, that's a tip jar. I'm sorry, Don. I'm on Rolo. That's a tip jar. My bad.
Damn, dude, you're in for $8 already. I'm writing this down.
I'm sorry. Have relations with her. Thank you. I mean, have relations with her. What I'm saying is this for you guys, and the reason why that is because when I meet her, the sex is already starting. I don't have to go after something that I'm going to get eventually. And this is where a lot of you guys go wrong, because y'all do not do the things that real men do with women. Y'all are so busy trying to throw poop. See that, Rolo? Poop.
I like it.
Trying to throw poop up against the wall, trying to make it stick. You lose. You guys don't know. You don't make the women smile. You don't know how to make her blush. You don't know how to make her laugh. You don't know how to make her think and react with your conversation. That's why you lose with these women. But sometimes when they realize that you don't know what you're doing because you're so busy looking at the bait, you don't see the hook that's attached to the bait, that these women will then turn around and then they will use you for what your resources is. Well, you know what? I'm not going to sleep with him, but you know what? He'll be a great shoulder to cry on after I sleep with I said sleep, Rolo. After I sleep with Rolo, he'll be a shoulder to cry on. After I sleep, Ryan, after I sleep with Ryan, he could be the guy to drive me around the neighborhood. And after I sleep, one more time, with Donovan, he could be the guy that will pay my bills and give me money. So this is the problem with y'all guys. Y'all need to get out of that quote unquote, I'm about to cuss again, that frame of poor me and start learning from real men. That's all I want to say, guys.
Well, that's yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one point that I missed, is like a lot of guys, and this is what exactly what his question was guys get they're uncomfortable with that arousal stage. They're uncomfortable with that. They think, because they believe the lie. They believe the lie that women need to be comfortable to have sex. No, not at all. Exactly. They need to feel arousal is what they need to want to have sex with you. It's not about sitting there and being a stuffed animal for her. And what most betas do is they self-defeat, right? They are so uncomfortable with the arousal stage because they don't know what they're doing. Just like what Steve was saying, they don't understand it, and so they're uncomfortable with that. You need to if you want to be effective with women, you need to get comfortable with the arousal stages and learn to use that, and you use it to your advantage.
Excellent. Let's go back to the phone lines. Looks like a caller has blocked their number. You are on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
It's a girl.
It doesn't matter. Because when you block your number, you get hung up on. Guys have been doing this for 6 months. Do not block.
Why are they blocking it? They're acting like we're gonna start ranging out the number and doxing them. Like, what the hell?
Dude, seriously, like, get out of here with that. People
I
block.
know his area code. I've narrowed it down to an entire
I do
province.
not care.
Jeez.
Do
It was,
not,
it was kitten. It was kitten again. Just go with that. It was kitten. It's always with
dude.
kitten.
I swear to God, I would love for it if she would call. That would be that would make my day. Area code 805. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can we preface all these calls saying we can definitely hear you?
Yeah. Hold on.
Donovan
Area code
Rolla.
805. Real quick. Area code 805. Yes. When I bring you on, when you hear that you are no longer muted, we can definitely hear you. So we got you covered. So go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I work in telephony, so I'm
No,
always
that's cool.
having that.
We got this.
So Donovan Rolla, you guys might know me. It's CJ. Kind of a little bit more of a personal question than I usually call up with. I just got with a girl last night. She just messaged me online, and she just came over last night.
Did you bang her?
Congrats.
And I've been doing really good. Yeah, I've been doing really good with keeping, a red pill mindset and holding frame and just spinning plates over the last few months. I've banged quite a few girls, and they've come and they've gone. I haven't cared. But this one, she's very close to my ideal, which is kind of specific. And even despite myself, I just felt myself like A, catching feelings really fast, which is something I used to do, and B, like just engaging in all these beta tells that I knew I shouldn't be doing. Like, I mean, she still banged me, but
Look for a reason to boot her. I'll cut you. Oh, right there. Just look for a reason to get rid of her. Look hard. Look constant. Look often.
How long
she
have you
will give you one? And if she doesn't give you one after a year, then worry about your feelings.
How long have you been banging her?
Guaranteed it's 30 days or less.
Wait, say what? Say that again, caller?
I met her for the first time last night.
So you met her for the very first time last night. You had sex with her for the very first time last night, and you're worried about catching feelings for this chick?
His ideal woman is the one that puts out.
What's wrong with me? I know it's bad.
It's fate. It's fate, right?
Yeah.
Listen, the answer to the question here is very, very simple. Spin more plates, dude. Like that's, I mean, I know this sounds simple and I know it sounds, cliche and broken record, but if you sleep with one woman and only one woman over an extended period of time, you will catch feelings for her. This is why you need to sleep with multiple women.
Give her 30 days. She will give you a reason to get rid of her.
Trust
I guarantee it.
100% on. Real quick, if the I lost my train of thought. What about her makes her your ideal?
She put out.
Kind of weird. I'm very specific. Like I really like Indian girls. And she's Indian. She's South Indian in particular, which I'm very attracted to.
You're a white guy, or?
Because I'm a white guy, but I speak Hindi, which is one of the reasons I think she got.
You're an Indian girl plaything. Guaranteed. Before they marry a nice Indian boy, you're their fun time.
Yeah, she's not. Yeah. Oh, wow.
I know.
All work. She's never going to meet her family. She's never going to introduce you to her cousins. Just enjoy it.
Right.
Well, I was really involved with a woman in India for a long time, so I know I can get out of control.
Okay. All right. Well, I think. Listen, I think we pretty much answered this question.
Back up off it. Give it time.
Just keep banging her for about a month. Steve, what you got on this, man?
No, you got to stop cupcaking, dog. Look, I'm a black man that knows a little bit of Urdu and Farsi. I messed with Indian, Pakistan, and Afghan women too back in my day. The bottom line is this: your cupcake. You just got a whiff of the kitty cat, Rolo. See, I didn't say the word.
Mm-hmm.
You got a little bit of the kitty.
You can say pussy. That's okay. That's not on the list.
Oh, damn it! All right, you got some of the you got some of the kitty cat. Let me just that. You got some of that, and you got a whiff of it, and you fell in love with it. If you start falling in love with yourself first, you wouldn't be doing these cupcake things, man. She is smelling your weakness right now, and all she's got to do, like Coyote and Roadrunner, is dangle the carrot right in front of you, and you're gonna be like, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do, man? Come on, man, get your balls up and man up, dude.
Look, check this out. She's Indian, and she let him bang her, so she is the ideal. Listen, we kid because we care. Spin more plates. Let's go back to the phone lines. Area code 575. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Saranaguta.
Huh? Guys, hello. How you doing?
Doing good.
Sorry, I'm out of breath. I'm working around the house while I'm listening to you guys.
It's all good, man.
I never called. Yeah, I never called your show before. I never read Rollo's books or anything. I see him online because they kind of get pumped in sort of like the conservative Twitter sphere. A lot of people say good things about him. So my question is something you probably maybe have already covered before, but it's about marriage. Like, you know, there's a lot of different types of marriage going on. 2019, right? You have like the Kardashians getting married like out of convenience, and there's a lot of other people who get married just kind of like out of like a fleeting sexual attraction that we all know kind of goes away after time.
Right.
And then you got people who are religious getting married because there's, you know, this higher purpose where the point is to mutually develop yourself along with your spouse and, you know, become better people along the way, and also progeny, you know, like have children and everything. So my question for you guys is, are you just diametrically opposed to every type of marriage, or, you know, based on the type of stuff you're pitching, your point of view, is there a type of marriage that you guys are, you would promote or see as kind of like congruous with the type of manhood that you think people should aspire to? So especially, is there a type of marriage you guys are into?
The one that doesn't set you up for failure is the short answer.
Well, that means none, right? Because the thing is this, the only kind of marriage real quick here that doesn't really put you at risk is a private marriage that does not produce children, because you don't have to marry a woman for her to turn your life upside down. You merely have to procreate with her. That's really what we're talking about here. And even a private marriage doesn't really protect you from any of the inherent risks. So my answer, I don't know, you guys can comment on this. My answer is, the question was, is there any kind of marriage that you would advocate for? No, hell no. What you got, Steve?
I would say, I would say one marriage. The marriage that I want as a man. What is wrong with you guys? You know, y'all guys are so busy worried about the next man that you ain't thinking about yourself. What do you want in a wife? What do you expect her to do? What do you see which is good and bad, and what you're going to either get rid of or reward her with? Stop worrying about types of marriages and start thinking about what kind of man you want to be. You could be like Donovan. You don't have to be married. You can be like myself, Rolo, and Ryan to have somebody. But as a man, it is your choice. Don't look for different types of marriages. Look for what you want as a man.
Yeah, women want marriage. Men don't.
What do they offer you? Here's the question I love asking. The Married Red Pill asked this when we had those "would I do it again" things. Take your long-term relationship and then take marriage. What does marriage offer that you cannot get from the long-term relationship? The ring doesn't make her pregnant.
Nope.
Ring doesn't make her more loyal. The ring doesn't offer legal protections for a man on all the ways that matter to you. Just look at these things. Instead of looking at this as what institution is best for me, just look at what does this offer me? Where's the value add? And I think there you kind of answer your own question when you look at it objectively.
And that's the fantasy that women want to perpetuate in guys. They want them to think that it's so worth it. Or like, I'll read these articles about, how married men are so much happier, or married men make more money, or and so they throw this out there. It's like all these good advantages, like, oh well, it's all about marriage is all about the man, right? It's all for his advantage, right? They're still clinging to this bullshit idea of like Gloria Steinem and women are just these slaves in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant and making sandwiches all day long, right? That's this fantasy idea. But what most girls today do is they still believe that it is in there's a mutual benefit. They don't understand that more and more guys are going MGTOW. More and more guys are becoming aware of the all downsides that there are to marriage. Marriage is in the present state. I would not get married again. I'm married. I've been married for, it's coming up on 23 years. I have a fantastic marriage, but I never use it as a template to say, oh, look, this is what was possible for me, so it could be possible for you. I'm not ever going to say that, okay? And this is a guy who has a very successful, very happy marriage with my wife. We still have sex. We have one daughter. We have, we have a good life together, and it's a lifestyle choice for me is what it is. But I would never promote the idea that guys should get married because it's too dangerous. Just in the present state that it is, there is nothing but downsides for men. So just like Donovan was saying, have some kind of if you want to have some sort of ceremony for you guys being husband and wife, great, fine, but don't put anything legality, and don't, because you know what the funny thing is like most the government doesn't care about what you do. That's why it's same-sex marriage. It's not gay marriage. It's just two people of the same sex get married. They don't care what you do. They don't care what the terms of your contract are. They just want to be able to enforce certain aspects of a legal. I mean, you're basically forming a business. That's the first thing that MGTOWs will say is like, would you get into a business with a guy who has, if it's all downside and you have to pay all this money? And they're 100%, absolutely 100% right. Okay, I'm telling you, yes, of course they are. But here's the thing: is monogamy is not a bad idea. Marriage is not a bad institution. It's just how it's become corrupted that has destroyed it. Okay, obviously, where we are as societally right now, one of the reasons Western culture is a predominant culture in the world right now is because of what post-agricultural monogamy. It's all based about one man, one woman, because it advantaged guys who wouldn't otherwise get a woman. Okay, we had this question before earlier about what do you think about polygamy or polyandry or polyamory, I guess is what it would be. There's a reason that used to be the norm, because it was more advantageous really for the guy who was, if the guy could do it, it was more advantageous for the women, because if you had a guy who was really who was rich enough to have like 2 or 3 or 4 wives, I mean, this is something that's common in Muslim cultures too. It's like, I think you can have up to 4 wives in Orthodox Muslim cultures, but it advantages the women as long as that guy is, on top of his game. He follows his religion. He takes care of his wife and his family and his kids and everything else, and he is a patriarch of that family. That works out great for them, right? But now we've destroyed Western marriage with feminism. We've destroyed it pretty much basically with feminism. In fact, I could probably just leave it at that, because if you look at all of the disadvantages that have been placed on men and the liability, it's all 100% responsibility and 0% authority. That's the state of legal marriage today in the United States, in Western societies. And so, again, the institution of marriage is a fantastic idea. How we do it is a death sentence. Don't get married. Do not get married until or find some way to meaningfully, to you or your wife or whoever, to have some sort of pairing or bonding with you, that you're going to be with her, she's going to be with you, and that's going to be how it is. Insist on your own paternity always, and don't be afraid to say, hey, you know what? I need the kid to be my damn kid. And if that ever changes, that's grounds for me leaving you. That's really the basis of pair bonding with a woman, is raising a kid that is your kid. If that's not the deal, leave.
All right, well said. Listen, my quick take on this is the only reason why men want to know, hey, what kind of marriage would you advocate, is because they want access to regular sex from the same woman,
and they want permission. They want us to say, oh, okay, go ahead. The red pill guy said it was all right.
Right. But here's the thing. You don't have to marry a woman to get good regular sex from a woman. As a matter of fact, when you marry a woman, you actually reduce the odds of getting good regular sex. We're going to take one more phone call. Area code 210. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
I just got a quick
Hi.
So I'm talking to 3 girls right now, and only one of them seems to be having that desire, or at least passion, in the conversation that I'm having with her. The other 2 girls, they seem to either be somewhat ignorant, or they're just trying to play a game. And so my question to you is, should I just drop these other 2 girls?
No.
Or should I continue to drop game with them?
Listen, this is real simple. The one girl who seems to be engaged, you are more than likely either the only guy she's having sex with, or you are the guy that she likes having sex with the most. The other 2 girls, you are not their plan A. You are their plan B, C, or D. You're the guy they call when their boyfriend is out of town. You're the guy they call when their plan A and B is not in town. You're the guy they call when their sexual pipeline is.
I know a lot of girls love doing the validation crap, which always seem the most receptive to it. Meanwhile, the other ones just want to be played. So I would just say escalate. As soon as you give them the option to touch your dick, if they turn you down, then you already know where you stand. Yeah. But why guess? Why spend all this mental headspace wondering when you can just ask?
Steve, what you got?
Dude, let me ask, okay, let me ask you a question, man. You say you have 2 girls. You say you have one that's down, but you have 2 of them that's playing games. Am I correct?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Real quick, Steve. Are you sleeping with all 3 girls, or are you just sleeping with one of
Not
them?
sleeping with any of them.
You're not sleeping with any of them?
No, I guarantee it. Is it? Right?
I'm just talking to them right now.
All right.
Dude. Oh, wow.
Let me show you why you losing. How long have you been boring these women with conversation for? How long have you been talking to these women for?
I've only been talking to them for a few days. Like I'll probably say that I started talking to them like on Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Let me ask you. Okay, all right. Let me ask you a question. What? Just real quick. Answer. What do you talk about? Because this is going to answer my question. I'm about to lay in this. What do you talk about?
Well, right now, since we just started talking, because like I went down.
No. And listen, caller, real quick. Caller. Hey, caller.
Hold up.
Answer the question. What do you talk about when you talk to these girls?
You talk about what?
Well, since we just met, we're just really trying to get to know each other. So it's more like, hey, like, what do you do? Stuff like that.
Sir.
You're killing me, caller.
That's why y'all lose. Because all y'all do is these interviewing questions. What do you do for a living? And when was your last boyfriend?
Right. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do we see exactly? This is why you're losing, because you're not manning up. I was about to use a cuss jar. Second there, Rolo. You're not manning up because why? Let me ask you a question. Do you really care about what she does? All those boring questions you ask her. Do you really care? Come on, be honest with Uncle Steve. Do you really care? Do you?
I think back then, no.
What about now? What about now? What about now?
Now, when I'm talking to girls, I'm not just trying to fuck them. I'm actually trying to vet for a girl that's.
Dude, you don't have to vet. Listen, hold on, caller. You don't have to vet a girl to bang her. The only qualifications you need to vet for is she bangable? That's it. You're not looking for a wife. You're not looking for an LTR. You're killing me, dude.
I'll answer this afterwards. The only question you need to ask is, what does that horse look like in her dream?
Exactly.
What does your horse look like? What do the flowers look like? It's worth your while.
All right. I'm gonna get real here and just sorry. Hold on 1 second, Steve.
Yeah,
because here's the deal: is this guy is another example of exactly what I was just talking about before. You're going straight to rapport. You're going straight to comfort. You're going, oh, let's get to know each other. I need to be comfortable to have sex with you. No, she doesn't need to be comfortable to have sex with you. She needs to feel anxiety. She needs to feel urgency. She needs to feel sexual tension, right? She needs to have, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do to build up that arousal stage that you're not doing, because either A, you're not comfortable with that, or B, you don't know how to do that. And so that's why you're asking this question. Well, there's one girl who really kind of looks like my ideal. Like she might be somebody like and same thing with the other caller prior to this guy. She's, the Indian guy who said that the girl was his ideal woman. These guys are I'm vetting. I feel like I'm vetting for. No, you're not vetting. You're stuck in this idea that you have to be vetting. You're stuck in this idea that you have to be comfortable. You're stuck in the idea that she has to be your future wife. Don't do that. It's sex first, relationship second, not relationship first and then sex. Okay. That's, and you know what? Women will jump all over me for that. They'll say, well, what do you mean it's sex first? Is she gonna be a slut first? No, but there has to be that sexual urgency. There has to be that desire, that genuine desire before you guys talk about anything else. There has to be, you have to say, this girl wants to have sex with me really, really bad. Really badly.
Yeah, she does have to be a slut first.
Yeah, she kind of does. Yeah. And then once you have figured that she has genuine sexual desire for you, then decide whether or not you want to build something else after that. Because if that ain't there, then you're a tool. Then you are now a workhorse. Now you're a plow. She's going to make rules for you to have sex with her.
Yes.
And she's going to give you the sex that she would give an alpha without rules, that unconditionally say, oh man, I got to get with this guy. He's so hot. I immediately. Hypergamy cannot afford to miss an opportunity with sex with an alpha guy. That's why there's that urgency. That's why women do that. If you are all, see, here's the thing. And I believe it was Iron Rule. Yeah. Iron Rule of Tomasi, number 8. Never tell a girl never help a girl figure out why she won't have sex with you. That's what you're doing. Okay, you're trying to say, well, we're going to find out if we're compatible, or we're going to have this heart-to-heart talk, and then once we have the heart-to-heart talk, then there's going to be arousal. No, there's not. You're already past that phase. The flow of your date, the flow of your interaction with this is backwards. Okay, you think that there's going to be hot sex after you prove yourself. No, all you're doing is jumping through the hoops, and you're classifying yourself as the guy that she makes rules for. Are you the guy she makes rules for, or are you the guy she breaks rules for? And when you go and you help her and say, hey ladies, I'm the guy you make rules for, that's not helping you. That's anti-seductive. Okay, comfort, rapport. I'm not saying that these are bad qualities. Comfort, rapport, familiarity, all these things are very important in a relationship. Yes, they are, but they are anti-seductive. They kill your relationship. That's why what we were just talking about for marriage is when you get into that, it's all familiarity, it's all comfort, it's all rapport, and you have to work your ass off to be the guy that she breaks rules for as her husband, right? Like she wants to go and show her tits to you while she's on the beach somewhere or something, and she still wants. Does your wife still flirt with you? I think that's a really good question. Does your wife actually still flirt with you, like spontaneously flirt with you? Does she break rules? Does she say, "Hey, why don't we have sex right here? This is great, or we're in the hotel room. Let's go have sex before we go down to the club, or what, that kind of stuff." Is she still that girl, or is she oh, I got to fold laundry at home, or oh, we got to feed the dogs before we go, that kind of stuff. That is the woman that is making rules for you. The woman who breaks rules for you is the one that you want to get with. And if you are the one who is facilitating that, if you're casting yourself as the one she makes rules for, you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it. Oh, did anyone have anything else?
I just want to say something real quick. Listen, and this is what you got to understand, caller. If a woman doesn't ask you in the first few questions on the phone, or when you get together, that she recognized you as one of those guys, or you're a smooth talker, or you must be a player, or how many other women you have, then you have a lot of work to do. The next thing two more things. The next thing I want to say is the fact you're doing so much talking, you're not even setting up the date. You're not even leading her like a man. You're sitting here playing more defense than offense. And the last thing I want to say is the reason why a lot of you guys lose is because when you talk to women, you never communicate with transparency. You never send clear, concise messages, and every message that you send isn't impactful. That's why they want to sit around and talk to you, but while she's talking to you on the phone, she's texting Rolo. What are you doing tonight? I'm not doing anything. While the other girl's talking to you, she's messaging Ryan. Ryan, are you busy with your dog? Can I walk your dog with you? And while you're over talking to the other one you think you screwing with, she's in touch with Donovan. So the thing that you got to understand is you got to get this thing out of your head about talking about things that have nothing to do with her having her face in a pillow and her Rolo up in the air. That's what I'm saying.
Hey,
Maximus up, side down. I like it. Guys,
do you mind if I just talk on to Steve? Right, to tone it down. At the end of the day, until you've slept with her, you're just a girlfriend.
Yep.
So if you aren't escalating instantly, like it's the way the sexual marketplace is now. Girls will put out on a first date. I have never slept with a girl unless we slept on the first date. So if you're not instantly pushing towards that, you're automatically shutting yourself off from anything else on a romantic level. So this is the initial vet. Until she gets past this point, there is no reason to look past that unless you're looking for a bestie that you can talk about your feelings with. And don't kid yourself. Until you've done it, it's just talk. It's just validation seeking. It's just flirting. It's her seeing if you're willing to put up with her crap. And it sounds mean, and it sounds like you're treating women like crap, and it treats like women are not Madonnas and whores. It's just the way it is. So you can either deal with it, or you can sit here with dry dick calling in, asking about how does this girl I've texted for 20 hours now not slept with me.
Is Dick a tip jar, Rolo? Is Dick a tip jar?
No, I don't know. I'd have to ask Pat. I think Pat Campbell he's the keeper of the language.
All right. On that note, we're going to go ahead and draw episode 57 of Red Man Group to a close. Again, you guys be sure to go to the21convention.org to pick up your tickets for the 21 Convention. Patriarch Edition is going to be from May 3rd until May the 5th. Also, we're sponsored by Tactical Soap. Any last words? Let's go across the panel. We'll go Rolo, Steve, Ryan, and myself, and then we'll go ahead and sign off.
This has been a very good episode for
Yes.
as a test for my new studio. I love it here. I think this is gonna work out. I'm gonna have to soundproof it. I hear some people in the hall all of a sudden, but I think this has worked out really well. So tomorrow I will be here actually again with Pat Campbell for Red Pill 101. That will be at 4:30 Eastern. Set your calendars for that or your announcement. You can just go to my channel and sign up for it, and also hit the like button here. And also subscribe to this and subscribe to my channel as well. So you'll get those alerts. I'll be doing that also coming up very soon, probably this week. Got some new stuff for you. So watch my channel. There's going to be some new things as this place develops. And that's all I got. Go.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Love you guys, man. It's a pleasure being on with y'all guys. I just want to say, Rolo, maybe I need to send you a bag of kitty mix so you can hold it up when you hear these guys saying that stuff. Give them some meow mix. Just hold that up. Yeah, meow, 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 meow.
That used to be Tom Likas. Tom Likas had a sound effect where it would play that commercial from Meow Mix. Meow, 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 meow,
I remember the cat's name. The guy be like, yes.
We need that. We got to find that. We got to find that.
So what I want to say to y'all guys out there is you can reach me at the Man Mindset. Guys, we have a free approaching boot camp there. And also I just want to let y'all guys know I'm so animated about this show today. I'm gonna do something later on tonight called 2 + 2 is 4. I'm gonna do a live show. So go to the Man Mindset or subscribe to my YouTube channel and everything, guys. Get the updates and all this other stuff. But again, I just want to say for these men on here, support these guys right here. Excuse me, I didn't mean to disrespect y'all. Support these men right here, because what these men are doing, they're doing things that are a little bit, it's going to make you feel a little uncomfortable. It's going to make you feel a little nervous, but these men have your best interest in heart. So please support all these men the best way you can. That's all I want to say.
Well said, Ryan.
Yeah, and look, I don't get to act the way I want to act because of the swear jar and YouTube and whatever. And I'm going to be brutally hard on you guys as much as I can, but it's because I want you to win. The whole point is everybody will tell you what you want to hear and be very nice to you, and they will let you quietly fail. If you really want to succeed, people are going to have to tell you things you don't want to hear. And I'm telling you this from love. When I call you a FA something, 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 I want you to man. All I'm saying. God, I really want to drop some F-bombs. Anyways, all right, I'll leave it at that.
That's all right. It's tough love, man. It's tough love.
That's how it is. Steve and I do Tough Love Thursdays. Of course, you guys can find all my content on donovansharp.com. Like I said, I'm on the air Monday through Thursday afternoons at 5 and 5:30 p.m. At 5, it's TSR Live. 5:30, it's TSR Primetime. Of course, TSR Live is caffeine-free Diet Donovan. TSR Primetime, of course, is loaded with caffeine, sugar, carbs, energy drink Donovan. You guys can sort of decipher that for yourselves. Download the donovansharp.com or the Donovan Sharp mobile app. And, of course, be sure to go to donovansharp.com and subscribe to my newsletter for all things Donovan Sharp. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. This has been episode 57 of the Redman Group. We will see you guys next week.
All right, guys.